We are live. We are live. Late stream, guys. Late stream. और आज हमारे पास थोड़ा कम टाइम है. As always, we are back with another live stream. I am your host परमेश्वर. बहुत मतलब कल ही स्ट्रीम की थी. Obviously कल ही मैंने चंदा मॉन्ग के साथ कोलैब किया था. But let's get straight into it. आज हमें स्ट्रीम करना पड़ेगा because कल पता चलने वाला है कौन सेरिया जीतेगा. Whether it's Napoli or whether it's Inter. But before we get into it, I'm joined by our regular panelist DJ Bhai, and as always, he's risking it. Gaadi se DJ Bhai driving on his way back home, I guess. What's up, DJ Bhai? How is it going?
All good, Param. All good. 24
Yeah,
hours to your fate.
yeah,
Scudetto race.
yeah. And Abhijay says Abhijay with a cheeky comment. He says DJ Bhai driving into UCL, taking that Champions League road. Shivam
Fingers
is also
crossed,
here.
buddy. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed for DJ Bhai. Shivam is also here with us. I thought might as well, invite him. He's going
Hi,
to be
Shivam.
joining.
Good evening.
Hello DJ Bhai. Good evening. Hello Param Bhai. And
He's sworn to his Bologna colors. Usko, I think now he's like our Bologna fan on the panel. But Shivam, nice to have you here.
yeah, thank you so much. And drive safely, DJ Bhai. सबसे पहले तो. I think this is the second time you are coming live from the car. I remember season के starting में आपने किया था, and अभी season end हो रहा है.
2-3 times, so that has happened now at least. It is
Ek baar
risky.
I done it. I think the other time it was Chintan.
Yeah.
When we had the Lazio conversation with Anupati.
Yeah. And Ajay Bhai also had come once live from his car, but he was parked. He wasn't driving. But let me just see who's in the house. RS is here. Nice to have you as always. Krishanu also. Nice to have you. Love Kush. Abhijay, of course. Krishanu still here. He says hi to Shivam. Chintan Bhai. He's busy यार. उनको काम है. आज हम लोग का actually बहुत सबका busy schedule है. But again, because tomorrow is a big day and this is generally a big weekend for Serie A. We will be doing one more live stream for the top 4 race over the weekend, but aaj we will only be discussing the title race. So yeah, Harshil is also here. Nice to have you. Puneet says Juventus के बोर्ड से लड़ने जा रहे हो क्या? Nice comments. I guess people find a way to make the chat interesting. By the we will touch upon that very briefly. Krishanu में स्टार करता हूँ तेरा comment. अगर जा रहे हो तो AC मिलान वालों को भी बजा के आ जाना. Chintan bhai would be very happy. I think Chintan bhai is already on his way to do that. But let's get into it, guys. I mean, there is no beating around the bush. जैसा हम बोलते हैं, we are getting into it. कल we will know who will lift the scudetto, as I said in the beginning, whether it's Napoli, whether it's Inter. Obviously, बाहर से तो ऐसा लग रहा है Napoli ideally will be the favorites given the fixture, given the 1-point lead, whatever it is. But just what do you guys, what's your feeling as neutrals? DJ, I'll start with you. As a neutral, what's your feeling? Just a general, what are you thinking? What's happening? What's your thoughts?
Param, let's not forget that this Napoli team won the Scudetto a year prior, then they finished 10th. So clearly there is a problem with temperament, right? If we were just to imagine and play devil's advocate, let's not forget a big energy chunk of this team has been Conte on the bench, and he's not going to be there tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So if you want to get into a situation where you want to speculate whether Napoli would struggle, it would be very interesting to see their reaction if Cagliari start to trouble them, and push them deep, because Conte for large part is the 12th man for that team. His absence on the bench with them being at home, there's also pressure on the players. They need someone to regulate that pressure for them, someone to constantly talk to them. So I feel like if we were to pick one problem for Napoli tomorrow night, it would be Conte not being on the bench. That said, the team obviously has their patterns in place. Lukaku is going to do what Lukaku does best, especially for Conte. Raspadori is, turned out to be a very interesting impact player for them over the course of the season. But I think the magic really, Param, like we know, is in the middle of the park. If the midfield keeps their composure, I think Napoli will comfortably, seal this game and eventually the title. A lot of it is, what happens between their heads tomorrow. one early goal by Cagliari. I'm not sure Napoli is going to be able to regulate that pressure without Conte. You know,
Mm.
so
Mm.
it's going to have to be a lot of the players kind of taking up that mantle and making sure they deliver. If the
Mm.
midfield stays composed, like I said, I feel like they should have this in the bag. But yeah, it's a title race at the end of the day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
um, a final does many things to many people in their brains and their
Yeah.
heads, and
Yeah.
player
Yeah.
temperament should not be discounted on a night like this.
Yeah, yeah. First up, before I get to Shivam here, guys, please do like, share, and subscribe. Matlab, again, we are on the road to 2K. We have just surpassed 1.8K subs. So we appreciate all the support. So please do like, share, and subscribe if you like our content, and please do subscribe to Ajay Bhai's channel as well. On that note, Shivam, मैं तेरे पे आता हूँ. तेरी क्या feelings है? Because I will pull up the press conference from Antonio Conte, which he just did. I'll pull up everything. I'll pull up the predicted lineups. But generally, what's your feeling? Because obviously, DJ Bhai से भी मैं थोड़ा agree करता हूँ. Like I kind of agree with his analysis as well. I'll give my thoughts. But what are your feelings? Because there is a lot going on. The mini plots or the subplots. Sorry, there are many. Simone Inzaghi, there is a pressure on Inter कि हाँ यार अगर आप एक ट्रॉफी जीतोगे या दो या ट्रॉफी ले जा सकते हो. नापोली का अलग स्टोरी चल रही है कि कॉन्टे माइट नॉट स्टे इवन आफ्टर विनिंग द स्कुडेटो. आज again I'll pull up the press conference. The way he said, the way he spoke, it almost kind of felt like a farewell almost. I'll pull it up later. There's a lot of subplots going on. मतलब ये तो टाइटल पे तो अफेक्ट कर ही रहा है, बट देर आर लॉट ऑफ क्या बोलते हैं रिपरकशंस फॉर द कमिंग सीजन और फॉर द फ्यूचर इन जनरल. तेरे क्या थॉट्स है?
आई थिंक जो एक जो चीज अभी डीजे भाई ने भी मेंशन करी ना कि हाउ बैडली द प्लेयर्स वांट व्हाट इज द टेम्परामेंट. आई थिंक दैट विल बी द की इन दिस मैच कि मेंटली नापोली के प्लेयर्स कितने ज्यादा दे वांट दिस टाइटल, whether they are looking forward to it इतना कि नहीं, because let's not forget कि I think दोनों गेम सेम टाइम पे इंटर का भी गेम is
Yeah, of course.
at same time with
Yeah.
Napoli. So
हाँ.
let's say what if, because we can sit here and we can talk कि अच्छा प्लेयर्स को नहीं आइडिया रहता, बट कहीं ना कहीं से उनको मैसेज आ जाता है, एंड स्पेशली
Yeah, yeah.
होम पे है नापोली का. लेट्स से अगर इंटर स्कोर्स उधर पहले, देन दैट मेंटल जो प्रेशर है ना वो अपने आप नापोली पे आने लगेगा. सो इफ द प्लेयर्स कीप देयर हेड काम, एंड वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट जो अभी डीजे भाई ने बोला कि कॉन्टे के नहीं रहने से कितना ज्यादा उन पे इम्पैक्ट करेगा. सो दैट इज वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग वी हैव सीन
Yeah,
थोड़े से
yeah.
रिसेंट वीक्स में कि नापोली हैव started to run out of steam थोड़ा सा recent के games में. In fact last game भी जो पार्मा का था, पार्मा did give them, I won't say didn't give them a lot of trouble, but frustrate करके रखा था. So
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Napoli it's very important कि how they keep their heads calm, and if Cagliari let's say even get a first goal, then things will be very very interesting. So let's see. I still think I still feel कि जो मैराडोना में मैच है ना, दैट फैक्टर द होम क्राउड एंड नेपल्स में है, आई थिंक दैट माइट जस्ट बी एनफ फॉर देम. दिस इज माय प्रेडिक्शन.
Fair enough. Predictions पे तो आएंगे, टेंशन मत ले. By the way, if I do lag at any point, Shivam and DJ Bhai do feel free to take over. Just experiencing some issues, I think, but whatever. I'll get back to the chats and I'll give my thoughts. Thok is here, nice to have you. We have a lot of DJ Bhai fans. भाई DJ Bhai का स्टाइल अलग लेवल पे है भाई. अगर आपको टिप्स लेने हैं तो उसके लिए एक अलग वीडियो बनेगा. मतलब I'm sure season में we'll have like a whole separate video on DJ Bhai's Italian dressing sense or whatever, fashion sense. So definitely there'll be one.
हेयर केयर
Abhijay
रूटीन.
Abhijay says last time Inter were in the UCL final, Napoli won the title. So this has been a thing on the WhatsApp group. DJ, I've been missing it because basically we are coming up with all the stats, like all these kind of stats, like so and so happened, so and so club won the UCL. Like every time a UCL final happened in Munich, there was a new champion that was crowned. Some club that has never won the UCL, and basically the list of stats are all against Inter in the sense that most of the stats favor PSG. So he's been kind of coming up with all the random stats to now kind of make kind of like troll, and also it's all fun and games. Gaurav says welcome back. Yeah, मैं तो कल तो था ही यार stream पे. Wow, this is a lot of jinxing over here. I think somebody does not want Inter to win anything. Fair enough. Yeah, so I'll come to the team news, Abhijay. I'll discuss the game very briefly. Just shortly, I'll come to that. Yeah, Napoli aren't dropping points. We'll see. Gaurav says Cagliari 1-1 Napoli. Too soon for predictions, but I'll note it. Napoli draw and Inter win, says Siddhant and Inter is to optimism. It's not as per X. I know you are the one trying to say this, but arguably अगर आप I mean, trophy wise तो आप बोल ही सकते हो, क्या ही बोल सकते हो, right? I mean, Bologna has done a fantastic job. So, but still, that's a whole different discussion we can have at the end of the season. Yeah, he is in advanced talks with Napoli. It all depends on the personal decision in at the end. So let's see where Kevin De Bruyne goes. Um, Como is the ultimate decider. Of course, Como and Cagliari both have a lot to play for still. I would say, देखते says Rabin. Nice to have you. Uh, Let me
I
just
think
take this.
Cagliari are safe, no?
Yeah,
Cagliari are
Cagliari,
safe.
even Como. Honestly, I'll come to that. I'll give it in my opinion if you don't mind, Shivam. I have something to say about that.
हाँ,
Two
sure.
questions amongst for past 4-5 champions of Serie A. Can we say that this Napoli team has been the least impressive of all? Also, if Napoli doesn't win this title, will you call it what? ये मैं star करता हूँ because I think this is a question DJ and Shivam should answer because me being in the title race, I feel that would be a bit unfair if I was to answer this question. I feel for the neutrals it is better. Uh, थियो टू यू है डीजे भाई ने कल डिस्कस किया था इट्स वेरी अर्ली स्टेजेस ऑफ द रूमर्स देयर इज नथिंग कॉन्क्रीट पर से देखते हैं और नीड्स डीजे सर बाप रे इंटर गोइंग टू विन द चैंपियंस लीग एंड शो द स्लो राइज ऑफ सेरिया फुटबॉल आई मीन आई कैन ओनली होप वी विन इट Napoli lifting the Scudetto and PSG winning the UCL. PSG will have an upper hand, I strongly feel. What do you have to say? I mean, I can't debate your point. That's your opinion. I mean, PSG, I do feel, are a bit tired bit favorites going into the final, but final preview बाद में करेंगे. What you say is more than likely it is possible, so I can't debate that. I hope Inter wins both the trophies or at least one at the end of the day. Yes, these rumors have emerged today. Inter, Juventus, and Napoli are interested in Rasmus Højlund, all three clubs. Very preliminary talks. Let's see where it heads. Como is not a team you'd want to face. Yeah, of course, Como is a very good team. We've all seen that. So I agree with you, but I'll come to that. So just giving my 2 cents before I get into the into team news and press conference. देखो यार, I mean, it has been a जैसे योगेश भी कल बोला था like I don't know मैं नापोली के सीजन को मिरेकल बोलूंगा जैसे कॉन्टे मिरेकल बोलता है डीजे बाय एंड शव like he literally calls it a miracle. Now going from 10th place to first is impressive. I think it's extraordinary given you know where they were last season. But you also have to remember, I think they spent 150 million, right? Sure, they lost Kvaratskhelia, yes, but Kvaratskhelia, if you remember, Conte had started benching him before he lost him. I think the biggest issue was not replacing Kvaratskhelia properly. I'm on board with Conte there. They replaced. They said Noah Okafor. Okafor hasn't done anything. You know, he had fitness issues at AC Milan. He was overweight at AC Milan. So I think Conte must काम कर रहा है. He's doing a fantastic job, but the way he portrays it like it's a miracle, I don't agree with that. I don't think it's a miracle. Like after you spend 150 million, you willingly get rid. You have zero issues in getting rid of Osimhen. You don't even try to convince him to stay. You get your boy Lukaku. You get McTominay, who's yes, he's not the most technical player, but we know he can score a lot of goals. He's fit in like a glove. You sign one of DJ by Serie A's best defenders, probably the best defender of last season, Alessandro Buongiorno, Shivam. You know how much we have praised him on the channel. I even said he was the best defender in the Serie A last season. So I feel while it's a great job, I don't know if I would call it a miracle. Now, this is not me taking anything away from him, but मेरा इधर problem क्या है? I'll tell you. Like if Napoli win fair and good, well and good, I'll you congratulate and you move on. But the way he's gone about this whole thing, like he's never once guaranteed that he's going to stay. He's been asked, उसको 10 बार ये क्वेश्चन पूछा है कि आप नापोली में रहोगे, आप नापोली में नहीं रहोगे, क्या है? No response, just ambiguity. And I feel that's kind of थोड़ा disrespectful है Napoli fans के लिए, क्योंकि he praises the Napoli fans. He did it in today's press conference as well, but ऐसा लग रहा है obviously DJ भाई के he's going to end up at DJ भाई's club obviously. So I mean, it's मेरे लिए थोड़ा strange last day में जो मैं शिवम को पूछा थोड़ी देर पहले, like ये just थोड़ा strange लगता है because you have a coach जो title most likely जीतेगा, most likely is in a good position, and he's just going to f off from there. Like obviously he did that at Inter also at the end of the day, but at least that was his second season. But इधर तो भाई मतलब एक सीजन होने को आया and you have a feeling कि he might go. Somebody brought up the reports of Conte's demands, right? So let me tie that in quickly. Dick Il Martino is not the greatest source, and I don't think those are his exact demands, but yes, he will have very strong demands. He will want to spend on the market. वो है वैसा बंदा. So again, I feel, look, Napoli have done a fantastic job. Kudos to them, and if they win the title, I think they would have deserved it. But I just feel kind of, I for DJY, I kind of feel for these Napoli fans because जैसे आपने बोला, right, जीते, then they fell to 10th. And then even Yogesh, funnily, yesterday on Menace and the Monk said that any finishing above 10th would be an achievement the following season. Like, you know, that there's that level of caution in their heads now कि भाई नापोली में कुछ भी हो सकता है, नेपल्स में कुछ भी हो सकता है, and that is literally where we are. So from their perspective, I mean, I still feel they're favorites. I feel they would have a good season, but it's just that that strange feeling is there even as an outsider, that it's crazy that they cannot guarantee Conte staying. Like, I would have, like, in January, if you asked me this question, I wouldn't have even probably doubted Conte's future at Napoli, but here we are. On the Inter end, I will quickly say, देखो, lineups पे तो आ जाऊंगा. See, there is a Champions League final to play, guys. There are two finals to play essentially. Or Abhi, it is what it is. You play Como, people brought up, right? We'll be playing Como. You play one of the best teams in the league, and I mean one of the best mid-table teams in the league, and it is going to be a tough job. Matlab, Cesc Fabregas, fantastic coach. I think DJ Bhai, you have been impressed with them. Shivam also seemingly has been impressed. They play great football. They have great talents like Nico Paz. I don't need to spell it out. Strefetza on a scoring run. You know, just fantastic talent overall and a good coach. And look, even if Shivam, to answer your question, you said Como Cagliari don't have much to play for. I agree with you. बट द पॉइंट इज कोमो, तुझे पता है उनको एक सर्टन गेम खेलना होता है, एक सर्टन मैने क्या बोलते हैं मैनर में खेलना होता है, राइट? लाइक दैट अग्रेसिव हाई प्रेस गेम, हाई इंटेंसिटी गेम. दे ऑलवेज हैव अ पॉइंट टू प्रूव, and I'm sure they will want to close out the season on the best way possible, being the richest club in the league, wanting to attract more players for next season, having this stability in the project. So look, it's going to be a tough game. इंटर, आई नो इंटर के दिमाग में दो ही चीज बची है कि पहले अभी सेरिया कल फोकस करना है, कल कल एक फाइनल है, कल जीतने पे फोकस करना है, और बाद में जो होगा नेपल्स में वो होगा. इट्स नॉट इन आवर हैंड्स. The only thing in our hands is that you try to win the game. Every player shows up. Team news I will get to. There are a lot of fitness issues, and then you focus on the Champions League final. So on Inter's end, it's really these two finals, and after, once the season ends, talks will start. Will Simone Inzaghi renew his contract? How long will he stay? Will he see out his final year? Will he get tempted by that Al Hilal offer? Because जैसे मैंने कल बोला, Al Hilal officials did meet him. He's rejected them for now. He wants to stay at Inter as of today, but obviously you never know in football, right? Anything can happen. So both these clubs are at crossroads. Inter का एक अलग plan है future के लिए, जैसे हमने कल Manes on the Monk पे बोला था. So there is a lot going on for both the clubs. I will just take a couple of comments and then I'll get to the press conferences and get to your thoughts, guys, on a few things I want to ask you guys. Uh, just very quickly, Theo I took. This also I took. Yeah, correct. Oh god. Let's not get into all this. Wild prediction next year, Como fighting for top 4. Let's see. Cesc Fabregas said he wants to focus on stability for next season and then European spots, which it means Europa League, Conference League. Robbie is here. Nice to have you. Kabir, Interista in the house. Which team would Inter have liked to face in this last round? Kabir, I mean, ऐसे पूछेगा तो भाई मैं तो सीधा Monza ही बोल दूं. And Monza are the absolute worst team to play, right? Monza at home and you absolutely destroy them. But I guess Napoli would say the same. But again, Napoli has this weird tendency to Shivam drop points against the lower half of the table. So you never know, but I would say Monza. But again, Kabir, I think it is what it is. Being the right now, objectively speaking, also Shivam, right now being the face of Italy, Inter, you can't be afraid of anyone. I'm sure that's not what you meant as well, but like we have to face who we have to face. Even if it was Juventus on the last day, you have to face who you have to face. I think DJ Bhai will be back shortly. I'll get his thoughts then. Standard Conte took us from 10th to 1st. Yeah, Chelsea fans, so I am. Come on यार, Inter has already two good strikers. I think UA can go for Hoyland. अरे दो striker है ना भाई, बैकअप में कौन है वो तो देखो भाई, मतलब Saw Leone and Coppola. Yeah, so Leone and Coppola might replace Theo and Tomori for Milan this summer. Yes, I've seen the news, Robbie. We will discuss Milan over the weekend. We will have a separate stream. Buongiorno has been injured a lot. Yes, and he is going to miss the last game of the season. So he's essentially out, is the feeling. Even if he returns, he'll be on the bench. Backline having Spinazzola, Juan Jesus, and Di Lorenzo. Then Butterfinger merits. You got to give it to Conte. Of course, DJ, just quickly your thoughts on this. Like, this is where I think हम Conte को credit दे सकते हैं ना. Like, look at this backline. Juan Jesus in 2025 is fighting for his second Serie A title. He's won one with Spalletti. You have a aging Spinazzola, Di Lorenzo. You saw at the Euros, DJ has so many errors, and then Alex Merritt. Of course, not the greatest keeper, a pretty decent keeper out there. On is it fair to give the Conte credit for this, or you think you have any other thoughts on that?
I think, Param, just going back a little bit to what you were saying earlier, it's not easy. Like, we have to understand that Conte there is nobody like Conte when it comes to getting into the head of players,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and the given, like I said, miracle or not miracle is semantics at this point, but
yeah,
it is an achievement, which should not
yeah.
be undermined, because a lot of the issues with that Napoli team was a matter of temperament. He really got into the heads of those players, and he's
Hmm.
really made them one unit. And I think we have to give him credit where it's due.
Yeah.
This factor that you raised, which is very interesting about Conte, because it's obviously a pattern. He
Hmm.
starts to struggle when he's no longer the underdog.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
to remain the underdog for him to be his tenacious, motivational self. At a team, to be that figurehead. And I feel
Hmm.
somewhere at the back of his mind, he feels that if Napoli wins the title, then all the pressure comes on them because they're then current champions. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think somewhere also this is symbiotic with the fact that Juve's come calling, and
Yeah.
he's been wanting to go to Juve for a while, Agnelli, and he had fallen out, so that wasn't going to happen. And now that window's opened up, Agnelli's not there. Elkan has directly, asked for him. So because Juve is there, I think that's further motivation. I think had Juve not been there, I think he would have stayed on. But like you said, the press conferences would be no different. It would be about complaints. It would be about how Kvaria wasn't effectively replaced. It would be about how Napoli don't spend money, etc., etc., etc. But he would have stayed, I feel. Um, Now, obviously, given the situation where I think it's likely, at least from what I'm reading and the sources I follow, it seems like it's a done deal pretty much, Conte to
Yeah.
Juve. So
Hmm.
he's acting very indifferent, but I don't think that, he will let this go easily. He will want to cement it. It is a legacy coaching stint after all, right? To win with the scudetto with three different teams is a big deal in Italy, right? I think
Absolutely.
the only other,
Absolutely.
if I'm not mistaken, who is that? There's only one other coach who's done that, Param. Who is that? Is that
Uh,
Capello? Is that कौन है वो?
I think you might be right about Capello. I'll have to double check on that, Shivam, if you can, if anything rings your bell as well. Like, मेरे को on the spot stats याद करने में थोड़ा time लगता है, but I think it might be Capello. Anything, if anything rings your bell, Shivam, or in the audience, let us know. But yeah, go ahead, DJ. Bhai.
So and that said, I feel like it's come to a point where now he's at the stage where, like, he knows what he's done with this team, which is why he's talking big about miracles and stuff. I think earlier in the season, if you remember, I think sometime just before Christmas, he was saying Napoli even in the Champions League is a miracle, something to that effect. So you can only imagine, he's talking more about his legacy, having taken this team from a 10th place. Though I feel this team was way better than a 10th place team, per se.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree. I
so
agree.
so it's not a miracle in terms of the talent that he had at hand. It's just a miracle of, it's not easy, Param, to psychologically recover a team, over the course of
Yeah,
one
I
season.
agree. I agree
That
with
is
that.
hard to do. You could
Yeah,
go
that is
from
hard to do.
you could go from fourth place to first. That's possible, But 10th is a big jump, given that Inter are by far and away the team to beat in Italy at the moment, So I think by that measure, it is definitely an
Yeah,
achievement that he's
yeah,
made it to the final day. We've got to
yeah.
give him that credit. And no matter where it goes for either team, I think they've both done really well to have brought the league, up in status where, okay, we may not have the biggest stars
Yeah.
that perhaps the young Barca team has, or we may not have the biggest stars that are available in England. But I think a lot of people are now talking about the league because they know how damn competitive it is. And credit to both Inzaghi and Conte for having brought us that in the absence of, the
Mm,
biggest stars in the league.
mm, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so I think given that, For me personally, I know we've discussed it also on the channel. What Conte has done, as far as I'm concerned, I really like what he's done with the midfield, and it's a Conte thing, right? Like he likes he more than the visionaries, he really
Mm.
likes those guys who are his
Yeah.
army warriors who will not stop running. And I feel like the likes of Anguissa, Labotka have really been Labotka maybe to a lesser degree, but Anguissa, yeah, absolute
Yeah.
unsung
And
hero
these are
this season. Yeah,
beast, man.
no, and he's. I think if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be free this season. So if
Yeah, yeah,
Conte
he's not.
goes to Juve, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
he's not
yeah,
renewed.
so
He's not renewed.
he's not renewed yet, and I feel like it all comes down to who comes in next. My point is though, he's the midfield. I think is where the magic has happened with this Napoli team. And I don't have the numbers. Will be interesting to see on average how much they're running. Every game, because that physical recovery has made a big difference, and the fact that they're not in the Champions League has also to a great degree helped them going from that 10 to the first. Perhaps
Mm,
wouldn't have been possible had they finished fourth and then been in the Champions League. We may not have been having this conversation, you know.
mm,
So I feel like physically he's recovered a lot of players, mentally he's recovered a lot of players. So credit where it's due. I think, but all this talk, yeah, Param, of him saying that they have to spend another 150 million, all of that is ball talk just because he's smoothing his exit, and that's just who Conte is. Yeah, I think like we've seen that pattern at Tottenham. We've seen the pattern at Inter. We've seen the pattern at Juve. That's where it all began. So that said, I feel like this coming now, if this thing happens with Juve, I feel in many ways it's the close of that cycle. I feel like it was like that cycle was not completely completed in his mind. He walked out. Perhaps there was some regret, of having walked out of that Juve team, and
mm.
many times he wanted to come back. So I think it will be interesting to see his trajectory from here on in. But I think we've discussed Napoli enough. Let's talk a little bit about Inter
Yeah.
because, yeah, again, you were just talking about 15 minutes ago, mentioning this thing about how they're traveling away to Como. We also have to look at the flip side, right, Param? They are going to play free. They're not going to play with pressure.
Yeah.
And this Inter team has enough talent to, when you're not playing in pressure, enough talent to kind of score very quickly, you know. And in games like this, whichever team kind of scores first starts to unsettle the other team. So I feel
Mm.
like these little subplots, like I feel Inter have the capability to score early, but at the same time, Como are the informed team of the league, right? Like,
Yeah.
what have
Yeah.
they've been on a run of 6 victories. I think they drew the last one, right? That's when the streak came to an end.
Yeah.
Um, Cesc, I don't know if he's going to hang around at Como. I feel like he may want to give like the audience his swan song
So,
with a
so,
fabulous
so
performance.
DJY, just to answer that quickly, he was considering joining Leverkusen, but Como managed to convince him at least for one more season he's going to stay. He was considering Leverkusen, but now Leverkusen are about to hire Eric Ten Hag. Como convinced Cesc, so he's at least staying for another season. Then let's see where he goes. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, but there was a little talk about him being shortlisted at Milan as well. I don't know where
Yeah, but
on that conversation. Nahi ho
yeah,
raha
but नहीं हो रहा है ऐसा I think they're more now inclined towards Motta, Allegri, or Sarri of sorts, AC Milan. So let's see.
Right. So I feel again, and again, I don't know if the stats back me up on this, but Como tend to score very frequently at home. If not
Hmm.
more than 2 goals, they
Yeah.
definitely score at least a solitary goal. So I feel like this is a kind of game where both teams are likely to get on the score sheet, and
Hmm.
in a very, I think, in a very defining manner. It's going to be a very open game, and
Hmm.
given that, yeah, even if Como score first, I think Inter have enough firepower to reverse the result. Um, but it all comes down to how quickly they score. If Inter is like struggling in the 60th minute and it's still love all, and Napoli have scored in their game, very unlikely Inter will have the mental capacity to recover, from a situation like that. So it all comes down to who scores how early. And I feel like that can also go a long way in tipping the balance. By the way, is Inzaghi on the bench for this game, or did he also get
No,
sent
no.
off?
Yeah, Simone Inzaghi be suspended, Conte be suspended, Baroni suspended. But funnily enough, Shivam and DJ, like whenever Simone Inzaghi is not on the bench, our assistant coach Massimiliano Faris takes over, and we have an unbeaten record with him, and that's like now 4 or 5 games. I think that's like one draw and whatever 4 or 5 wins, like the remaining wins. So that's a hilarious record. But DJ, let me come to Shivam. Shivam, मुझे एक बता, like थोड़ा tactically discuss करते before we uh, or whatever, let me just get to it. But तेरे को क्या लग रहा है, because डीजे भाई ने चल tactically discuss कर लेते हैं. I'll come to the comments, guys. I know 24 people watching. Please do like, share, subscribe. I'll come to your comments. पर दोनों गेम थोड़ा टैक्टिकली डिस्कस करते हैं, क्योंकि ना कैलियरी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ एब्सेंटीज. मैं प्रेडिक्टेड लाइनअप ही खोल लेता हूँ. लाइक येरीमीना इज इन डाउट, कपरीले जैसे अभिजय ने बोला गोल में नहीं है, ही इज इंजर्ड.
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah, don't worry. Take your time. Take your time. No rush. They have a significant chunk of absentees. Napoli also as well. Let's get into the Napoli game first. I'll pull up the predicted lineups. By the way, a funny thing has happened before I get into it, Shivam. I think De Rossi, Totti was at the World Paddle Tour, and he made a very surprising comment. Let me quickly pull it up. He said this.
I want to manage Inter.
No, he said Conte or Allegri, basically, they've already signed for other teams. Unless he's being cheeky, अगर उसको असली में कोई knowledge है, ये just आ रहा है news. So this is Francesco Totti of all people breaking the news at World Paddle Tour है. ये तो मतलब अलग ही angle है. He's trying to become your Fabrizios or Di Marzios, I guess. थोड़ा नया career line ढूंढ रहा है वो भी. But imagine if he's right, क्योंकि अगर वो publicly declare कर रहा है, either he's trolling or either he's absolutely right. He knows something. Obviously, he's kind of close in the Italian circle. All these guys are very close to each other. So you never know. He could be right. So, the news of Conte returning to Juventus or maybe Allegri at Napoli or Milan could also be true. Let's see. But शिव मैं predicted lineups pull up करता हूँ. पहले मैं pull up करता हूँ तेरे लिए Napoli Cagliari is, where is Napoli Cagliari? Here, sorry. मैं तेरे लिए ये भी pull up करता हूँ. Hopefully this will load. On field visuals, yeah. ठीक है, तो I hope this is visible, Shivam, to you.
Yeah. This is Gazeta.
हाँ, Gazeta. I mean, Sky पे अभी तक आया नहीं है. Gazeta is not always reliable, but generally ठीक ही है. देख तेरा जैसे हम डिस्कस करते हैं नापोली का, I mean, whatever this is obviously not formation wise accurate, but it's either going to be a 3-5-2 or either it's going to be a 4-3-3 as we know. जैसे तू देख चुका है उनको. मेरिट होगा गोल में, तेरा बैकलाइन वही होगा. Again, Oliveira won't really play as a center back, but technically he might have to slot in given the injury issues. पर तू बाकी का देख, Gilmore, obviously Gilmore will start because Lobotka is out of this game as well. Angi साहब, again तू ये formation exactly ऐसा देख मत because it's quite fucked up by Gazeta. But तू दोनों lineups देख रहे, तेरी क्या feeling आ रही है? Where is the battle won and lost? Again, as I tell you, Mina might not start. Their backup goalkeeper is going to start for Cagliari. Piccoli is in good form. He's hit double figures this season, जो बहुत टाइम से हुआ नहीं था. क्या बोलता है तू?
I think सबसे important तो जो होगा that will be the game in the midfield. So Napoli throughout this season we have seen they have been so physical, so hardworking midfield. And अगर आप इनका Cagliari का भी देखेंगे, so they have that midfield quality. They have that midfield, but not at that level of Napoli.
Yeah, of course.
That I feel so. Diola, Makumbo, Adopo, they had okay seasons, but the thing is कि अगर if Napoli starts dominating the midfield from the early on, then it becomes very difficult to play against them. And जैसा आपने बोला कि उनके डिफेंस में मीना नहीं है, so what is another important factor is कि let's say if a Mina या Zappa, these are the tall players जो कि haunt कर सकते हैं on set pieces, because set pieces पे Cagliari are a dangerous team, especially Mina in relegation battles. So if these guys are not present, so एक जो खतरा रहेगा नापोली को जो आपको देखने को मिल सकता है कि let's say something like a set piece पे गोल खा सकते हैं, because apart from Rahmani, I don't think so कि कोई बहुत Di Lorenzo is tall, but there are not many tall players in this current Napoli team. Maybe McTominay is tall and something. So this is where Napoli have another advantage कि अगर आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि set pieces से कोई threat है तो वो तो नहीं रहेगा. I still feel कि if Napoli plays their natural game the way they have been doing throughout this season, it would be an easy game. I still feel so. Not I don't want to disrespect Cagliari यहाँ पे, not that easy
Fair
because
enough.
Sardinia is obviously a very tricky place to travel, and
This is
Napoli
in
have
Naples.
this.
This is in Naples though. This is
Oh,
in
sorry,
Naples.
sorry. Yeah.
No, no
This is in
problem.
Naples. This is in Naples, and Napoli ने अभी इस सीजन ड्रॉप भी किए काफी सारे पॉइंट्स इनफैक्ट लास्ट गेम में पार्मा हैव ट्रबल्ड देम काफी ज्यादा सो इफ
हाँ.
Cagliari maintains their low block and start में let's say 55 to 60 65 minutes तक nil-nil है and let's say उधर इंटर अपना गेम डोमिनेट कर रही है then
Hmm.
it all comes down कि okay now how we approach this game how then this mental thing comes into play so that is the thing which I want to say, and I still feel this team, this lineup has the capability to do well. One thing which I want to mention, the good part about Antonio Conte is that I have not expected him. He'll be this much tactically flexible in this season.
वो
Because yeah, I mean no, like we all associate Conte with a classic 3-5-2 now. So this season he has used back for a couple of times, 4-2-3-1, and multiple types of formations he has used. So
yeah.
that was a refreshing thing to see कि अच्छा Conte ने किया. Even Raspadori, who was pretty underwhelming in past couple of seasons, उन्होंने भी
Hmm.
इस season काफी अच्छा performance दिया है on and off games में, अच्छा work rate दिया है. So these
Yeah.
are the things which Conte should be getting credit in my opinion.
या फेयर इनफ एक चीज फनीली बोलूंगा ना तूने जो बोला ना टैक्टिकल फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी सो बेसिकली बिफोर ही वाज साइंड बाय एनी क्लब तुझे याद होगा हमने स्ट्रीम्स में बोला था हिम एंड स्टेलिनी हिज असिस्टेंट कोच ऑफ कोर्स दे वर लिटरली एडवर्टाइजिंग हिमसेल्फ देमसेल्व्स कि भाई हमने अपडेट किया है खुद को हमने ये किया है वो किया लिटरली लाइक बेसिकली ऐसे बात करते हैं जिस लोग ने ना टेक्स्ट बुक खोल के पढ़ाई की है और अपडेट किया लिटरली every chance they had it every time they got an interview they were literally advertising themselves man like it was crazy but kudos to him and he's at least made it count you know बोलना एक चीज होती है और करना भी एक चीज होती है उसने काम तो कराया है एक चीज बोलूंगा आई वांट टू आल्सो शो सम क्या बोलते हैं अपना कमेंट्स फ्रॉम द प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस ये टॉटी का तो बाद में देख सकते हैं दैट्स अ होल डिफरेंट कॉन्वर्सेशन बट यू सी दिस ओके
Oliveira
हाँ
Oliveira, by the way, Oliveira has that experience of playing at centre back for his
yes
national team
yes
due to
exactly
his
वो
ball playing ability. So
Yeah,
he
yeah, exactly. And he's fairly solid यार वो defensively solid भी है यार I feel in my
yeah,
opinion
and आपको याद होगा कि तो सीजन
देख
के
बोल
स्टार्ट में
बोल
he was not starting a couple of games for Napoli. ड्यूरिंग द मिड सीजन
yeah
धीरे धीरे कॉन्टे ने फिर उनको इंटीग्रेट किया एंड लेफ्ट सेंटर बैक एंड वन वेरी गुड थिंग कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अपने एक्सटेंड नापोली ने उनका एक्सटेंड करवा
yes
दिया था
yes
वहाँ
yes big deal because वो अच्छा player है to be fair देख
या
अभी न्यूज वाइज लोबोटका is not available as I said Bunjorno and Juan Jesus are in doubt so obviously Oliveira playing there is something that is expected squad पे शायद कॉल अप किया जाए but then they might not play Davide Nicola से क्या आया है द कैलियरी हेड कोच जिसको हम प्रेस करके बोलते हैं द सैम एलरडाइज ऑफ इटली बट ही
सैम
एक्चुअली
अल्लारडाइज
डिजर्व्स मोर प्रेज देन दैट इसने सलरनीटाना को जैसे रेलेगेशन से बचाया था we are definitely making a video
या
in off season on the great escape on how he saved Salernitana, but a topic for another day. Obviously, they are saying we'll give it our all, show the league isn't over. They have injury issues, जैसे मैंने बोला था. Gianluca Gaetano, former Napoli player, is not there. Caprile is out. उनका main keeper जो injured खेल रहा था वैसे भी. Zito Lumumbu जो तू जानता है बहुत ट्रिकी विंगर है बहुत पेसी विंगर है ही इज आल्सो नॉट देयर पावोलेटी जो he's like a Serie A B level player. He's also injured. Nadir Zortea, again a solid fullback, is not available or has fitness issues. So Cagliari themselves have tons of issues. He said that obviously it's a big game, but there is talk of both Cagliari and Como. He acknowledges the other side of things as well, but he feels obviously it's mainly going to be decided by Inter and Napoli. Napoli may feel pressure, and after two draws, and we obviously want to compete and do something extraordinary. We'll do something, or we'll try to do our best. Dekhte hain. We'll see whether Cagliari are able to do something. Apart from that, quickly DJ by to just see what Conte has been talking about. It's always fun to see what Conte says. I'll just, yeah, in terms of approaching the game, he says, do we attack straight away? Yes, he says, nothing changes in our philosophy. I'll attack straight away. We face a good Cagliari team and everything. We'll show them respect, but we'll attack straight away. And he's talked about his first season. Obviously, he's clearly said it has been very demanding. Uh, and obviously, he's obviously in love with the fans in his words. But obviously he says he has nothing against the Napoli fans, but he has hinted obviously at the statement he made earlier. I'm trying to find it. It was not here, but he said very vague things which kind of suggested a departure. I don't know, DJ, if you heard that. I mentioned what Totti said a while ago. Totti said that Allegri and Conte have basically kind of chosen their next destination, hinting that they've pretty much changed their clubs. So, see, again, he's talking about how stressful the season was. Uh, see, this could be the final game that ends the season for me in a new city, a new environment. So, by you can't get more open than this, I guess. Shubham. Like literally,
Now he's
he's
not even hiding it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's not even
I
hiding.
think, guys, yeah. At least the inside information seems to suggest Juve and Conte already have an agreement in place. It's a 3-year contract. It seems like everything's been signed apparently. Um, of course, out of respect for Tudor, they're not announcing it because Tudor will be with the team in the Club World Cup. But
Yeah,
I think all the paperwork is done. Tudor also kind of knows his fate. Perhaps why Param? I feel like he's setting everyone up. Now don't hate me when I go.
yeah.
Um,
See, DJ, I agree. He
Yeah.
knows his mind games. He could look. As you said, per your sources, per the UA sources, it looks like a done deal. But let's say for some reason, with that final meeting with ADL, he decides to stay or whatever. You can only say mind games well played because he is known for that. He is kind of known for that as well. Yeah, he did take a few kind of digs at Inter as well. Funnily enough, he thinks playing the league over 38 games as opposed to playing like in the Champions League is tougher, which I kind of don't necessarily agree with. Matlab, I mean, his track record is horrendous. Track record in the Champions League otherwise would have been better, right? I mean, that's just Conte for you, obviously, trying to play mind
but
games again.
it's
But
part of his personality,
yeah,
Param. It's
yeah,
he's such a definite character that you kind of know his pros and you know his cons. Even Juve
yeah,
in so many ways they know what they're getting into. Really, they know
yeah.
that they're not going to be building a project with him. It's just to win immediately and get that scudetto, which has now been 5 to 6 years. Settle the nerves a little bit and then maybe see where you go from there.
Yep.
Um, so it just comes with Conte and it comes with the territory that he's in. He's not a guy who's ever aligned with his management. He's always struggled with authority. He's a very fiery personality. So it just
Mm,
comes with the territory and it's horses for courses. Really, he's become that player, that coach that now you will call when you need to win immediately. Inter did it. Juve are doing it. Napoli, etc. So for me, I just think we have to accept him for the way he is. uh it is, you don't enjoy that when you see that, like, he was such an amazing player, he gave all his heart. You don't want to see that
mm.
become of him as a coach, where he's become this personality that's very troublesome with ownerships and managements you know
True, true. As a Juventino, obviously, I get you. Like, you being a Juventino, I get your views on that because you don't want to see that, but that's just who he is, I guess.
it's
Guys,
just
I'll
who he
come.
is.
Yeah, he's just who he is. मैं comments पे आता हूँ. I will quickly discuss Como Inter. Take your comments, take your predictions, and we'll wrap this stream up. Because हमने बोला था आधा घंटा, but obviously it will go on for an hour. ऐसे ही होता है हमेशा. We always try to limit ourselves, but it always goes overboard. But this is the type of content we bring for you. Quickly, I'll share Como Inter ka stream. Obviously, Como being the home team, one of the most beautiful stadiums and whatnot. Of course, um, we have the predicted lineups here. Actually, to be honest, I'll pull up the predicted lineups from a more reliable source for Inter at least because something interesting has come up. मैं Como की lineups ही pull up करता हूँ. So as of today, as of the last training session, this is the predicted Inter 11 Shivam.
Oh
We'll
my
have
God. The name
gone.
at front.
Yeah, yeah. That DJ भाई got removed and we have Yogesh as well. ये तो बहुत late join किया भाई. मतलब आधा नापोली का discussion होने के बाद आ गया तू.
Hey guys.
कैसा है कैसा है? आजा आजा
Yeah,
अभी.
just reached Surat here.
Param, aren't you noticing the mind games? He waited
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
of course.
Napoli bit to finish, and then Yogesh popped in to discuss Inter.
Yeah, I'm sure he was watching. I'm sure he was watching. I'm sure he was watching. But we'll come to Yogesh with his thoughts. Let me cover Como Inter first, since we've discussed Napoli ka match. आता हूँ तेरे पे योगेश, but quickly again
Yeah,
from a
yeah.
more reliable source. again, obviously, जैसे शिवम ने बोला, let me just dissect it. Josep Martinez expected in goal, not Jan Sommer trying to save him for the Champions League final. Bisek, Devray, Carlos Augusto. So the news is that Pavard still has pain in his ankle. He has not recovered, and the hope is कि वो Champions League final के लिए recover होगा. Devray gets the nod over Acerbi. Obviously, Acerbi needs rest. Bastoni apparently has fatigue, so Carlos Augusto starts. Dumfries obviously coming back from an injury needs rest, so Darmian, Hakan plays as a Mezzala and Aslani as the six. And Zalewski goes back in midfield because Zalewski midfield में खेला था against Torino and he had a fantastic performance. But this time on the left, you have Dimarco as the wing back and Correa starts along with Taremi. I mean, I really wish at this point I could say Arnautovic plays with Taremi, but this is going to be the lineup. So Inter do have a lot of injuries. Like Lautaro has just come back from injury, so he won't start. Fratesi has just come back from injury, so he won't start. Zielinski has fatigue as well. So basically, owing to all that and with the Champions League final in mind, this is the team that is going to start. शिवम तेरे थॉट्स लेता हूँ, क्या बोलता है ये? ऑब्वियसली ये लाइनअप तू देखेगा और तू कोमो का देखेगा. अगर मैं तेरे को कोमो का पिच पे डाल के दिखाऊं, ऑब्वियसली कोमो बहुत अच्छा खेल रही है. कोमो के टीम के बारे में तू भी जानता है. आई होप दिस डिस्प्लेज एट टाइम्स दिस डजंट. हाँ, तो देख उनका टीम भी ऑब्वियसली इज क्वाइट डिसेंट, राइट? यू हैव डाकुनिया इन फॉर्म, Trefezza इन फॉर्म, निको पास इन फॉर्म, Kakere also is scoring. क्या बोलता है? Obviously kind of looks like it'll be a closer game than it would be, right? Or at least one would think of.
Yeah, Golden Eagle's not there or what? He's injured.
I think he's just a bench player.
He's suspended.
He's suspended, correct. He's suspended. Yeah, suspended. Correct. पर हाँ, बोलना शिव, give your thoughts.
हाँ, मतलब कोमो का भी recent performances I've been watching and I've been following. They have been pretty good. I was very impressed by Dacunia's performance. I think he has gone a bit of under radar, along with Perone. Perone has been more talked about, but he has that on and off moments in a couple of games. But Dacunia has been very solid, very consistent for them throughout this season. I remember Kempf, जो इनका left center back है, after that Milan game, he has played very well. And जो last time 2-0, if I'm 2-0 or 3-0 was the win, जो Inter जीती थी at their home at the Miazza versus Como, तो उसमें भी Kempf was playing.
2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 performance. So that this is a very solid lineup. They play very high pressing, very good, entertaining, attacking football. So definitely Inter will need to be very cautious. And the guy up front, Dubikas, is a very. I've watched him in Celta. He is a winter signing, and although he hasn't started much games, I think 4 or 5 games started, but 2 goals and 3 assists already. So he's that physical kind of a guy who can hurt Inter if Inter do not deal with him properly. So a big task will be on HRB. De Vrij, who will be starting. De Vrij to mark Dubikas, because physical दोनों हैं, दोनों की physical battle will be very interesting. And obviously we all know about Nico Paz and what kind of a creativity he provides. So that midfield battle will also be very entertaining. For Inter, I'll say कि they have to take their chances, especially Correa and Taremi. And Correa especially because last game में उनको chance मिला था, he couldn't finish it. And I still remember when you said Correa did a Beyblade and missed the chance. Whenever I think of that, I think Correa Beyblade it. So that is, Inter need to be very much clinical. The chances which they got, they need to finish it. अगर last match भी अगर goal वो Arnautovic ने score कर दिया होता, so they could have won the game. So very interesting game. Como definitely played with their more stronger, more composed first 11. But I think this Inter team, even though काफी सारे absentees हैं उनके, I still feel it's a very a solid lineup. थोड़ा सा अगर attack को हटा दे, still जो core है, असलानी को अगर आप हटा दें, so Çalhanoğlu, Bisek, De Vrij, Augusto, these guys know कि हाँ pressure situations में कैसा करते हैं. So I expect them to give them a good part and maybe eventually make it out.
Fair enough. Funnily enough, एक चीज बोलूंगा मैं from my end before I give my thoughts on Como and we move on. Yeah, I just remembered that I think whenever Aslani has started for Inter this season, we have not lost a game. ये funny stat है एकदम. And actually थोड़ा confidence में मेरे को rise दिखा है. Like I'm not saying suddenly he's good enough to play for Inter. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I've seen that sort of growth in confidence or that sort of comfort in his game. Now whether or not he can do that in Como obviously remains to be seen. But थोड़ा एक optimism है कि he's actually kind of done a decent job. And funnily enough, गजेटा का जो लेआउट हमेशा गलत होता है. एक्चुअली अगेंस्ट टोरिनो वी काइंड ऑफ प्लेड अ 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1. Like you had Zalewski out on the wing, you had Correa out on the wing as well when he came on. So that is also a possibility. Absentees के हिसाब से अगर मैं देखूं, Como do have absentees, ऐसा नहीं है. Dosena, his season is over. Obviously injury, Sergi Roberto has been out for a while. Diao, obviously Asan Diao, the star man जो था, योगेश को पता होगा उस नापोली गेम में भी कि ही ऑब्वियसली इज अ वेरी गुड प्लेयर बट ही इज आउट फॉर द सीजन. और बेंच पे ऑब्वियसली दे डू हैव डिसेंट प्लेयर्स. ऑब्वियसली एल्बर्टो मोरेनो हैंडी प्लेयर, कुत्रोने, डेले अली इज इंजर्ड, ही इज नॉट अवेलेबल फॉर द बेंच. जोनाथन इकोने हैज बीन इन डिसेंट फॉर्म. लाइनअप के वाइज जैसे शिवम ने आई थिंक प्रीटी मच कवर कर लिया. पेरोने इज अ डिसेंट टैलेंट, दे आर गोइंग टू साइन हिम फॉर 30 million. काकेरे हैज बीन इन फॉर्म. एंगल हार्ट is a very decent player, is a very mobile player. He's actually a midfielder converted into a centre back, and Voivoda can bag in a few assists. So I personally feel this battle more of here is to do with how we handle their quick transitions or the quick play. I don't like बोलने के लिए मैं मिडफील्ड बैटल बोल ही सकता हूँ ऑफ कोर्स, एंड एज रॉबी सेड कमेंट्स में कि ये मिडफील्ड बैटल ट्रिकी होगी. आई एग्री विद हिम, बट यू नो द क्विक इंटरप्ले दे हैव इन देयर 4-2-2 4-2-2-2 is their shape basically. That is what Inter need to stop. You know, Hakan has to be on his game. Aslani will have to be defensively solid. Correa cannot just show up jogging as if it's like a park or something. Again, Teremi ka attitude thoda last few games mein acha raha hai. He will also have to do that. So it's more of a mental thing that will have to show against Como because it's going to be a difficult game. Bisek ne jo Lazio ke against error kiya, all this nonsense can't be happening. I'll be very honest with you. If that happens, then it's quite evident that we won't probably win the game. Bench पे जैसे मैंने बोला, हाँ बोल
also, you know, they're playing a very attacking formation. Like Alex Vale is starting, who like he is a La Masia product.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I know he's a very attacking kind of a fullback. He's not that
Yeah.
kind of a guy who's gonna sit back and defend. Like मुझे याद है कि जो last game होता है उससे Fadera started and he had a pretty good game against.
Yeah, Fadera,
And-
Ali
but-
Fadera.
and he is defensively more sound than Vale.
Yes.
So if Vale is starting, then it's
They-
also an indication कि
Yeah, they want to attack.
कि
from the
transi- yeah, कि transitions पे they'll try their best to attack Inter.
Yeah, and that is Como's identity. That's how they want to play the game. Fabregas को वही build करना है. Again, जैसे मैंने team news बोली थी, देख, like you have the players on the bench like Pavard, but Pavard still has ankle pain. Fratesi and Lautaro have just returned from injury. Zielinski has fatigue. Bastoni has fatigue. So वो थोड़ा tricky situation होगा. Actually कल वही interesting होगा कि bench को कैसे सिमोने इंजागी manage करे. आपके पास Arnautovic होगा, Thuram होगा, but you also have to preserve these players. And this is where personally I've always felt कि सिमोने इंजागी थोड़ा एक दो youth player को integrate कर सकता था. Like you have a player by the name of Berenbroek, who's actually a very good talent. Simone Inzaghi even used in the Champions League, but for some reason does not use in the league. So the game has to be managed well tomorrow, otherwise it's curtains. That's all I can say. Predictions पे मैं आता हूँ योगेश.
Again, Param, you know, this is one thing. I don't know how far this lineup is true, but you know, you always have to send a message that you're putting your first 11, playing 11 to go for the title. It's a mental thing, you know. At this moment in time, Inter are gassed, Napoli are gassed. What is really important is how you're going to deal with it here. And I when I'm just looking at that Inter lineup, it looks to me like Inzaghi is just preserving everyone for the Champions League final. You know, yeah. I feel like that game from Inter's perspective will only be unlocked by Çalhanoğlu. Other than that, when I'm seeing that lineup, I don't think any of those guys have the malice and killer instinct to say, let's go out and score early. That just looks like a team that has to put up 11 men against Como, you know. So I feel like it's a mentality thing. He probably missed a trick when he played his starting 11 in the Coppa against Milan, you know, and that backfired. But a game like this, I think he needs to put out his main 11, you know. They have to go out and get that early goal. Then whoever he pulls out is okay.
No, that's a fair assessment. I mean, I can't blame you because some fans do feel that way. But again, the problem is you like, you know, ki Lautaro again just back from injury, Fratesi just back from injury, and if they get injured and if they're not there for the Champions League final, it's up. And Lautaro's injured, like Lautaro played injured against Barca as well, you know. So it's a big. But I kind of agree with you. Maybe आप बोल सकते हो, you could have fielded an Acerbi at least in there. You could have started.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have
100%.
started. Yeah, exactly. You could have started Sommer. Other than that, it's kind of a bit dodgy because you have to manage the squad. But I kind of get your perspective. Guys, we'll close the stream very soon. We'll take a DJ. If you're in a rush, that's not a problem. If you want to give your predictions, you can give your predictions, and then we'll take the comments, and me and Shivam can close the stream. If you want to go ahead and give your predictions and your closing
Guys,
comments.
for me, I think Inter Como, I feel like both teams will score. Inter have enough talent to kind of get it over the line, but we need to see some of their mainstays kind of come in at some point in the game. That
Hmm.
is what will make the difference. At the same time, on the flip side, I know Fabregas and the crowd in Como are going to be really fired up to make a difference in the Scudetto race. So from that perspective, I think it'll be a very, very open game. Both teams to score. Param, I kind of agree with your assessment. As of yesterday, I think Inter to win it 2-1.
Fair enough. And but you have to give the ultimate prediction. Who wins the Scudetto?
Conte is a hard guy to beat in this position, So if I was to look at everything they've achieved and they're at home, there's just, it only happened this evening. It's just a sensation thing where I realize what a big miss he's going to be on the bench. But there is also that compensation of the home crowd. Very hard to call, Param. Very, very hard to call. But I feel like Napoli are well oiled enough to get it over the line and probably with a one love, maybe two love kind of victory to overall seal the Scudetto. Very hard for Inter. They are gassed. Napoli a little less so. But again, you never know, man. Like when it goes down to the last day, you just never know. So
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But I mean, if I was to call it at this moment in time, I feel like Napoli have the
Fair play.
edge.
Fair play, fair play. Your top four prediction I will say for the weekend stream, but anyways, I think we should get that as well in case for some reason अगर weekend में stream नहीं होती है. Does UA qualify for the Champions League or not? Since
Yeah,
that's
Param, you know what my heart says. Yeah, my heart says Juve qualifies 100%. The sensation, like I said yesterday, yeah, it just depends on the mentality. This team would beat Venezia 10 out of 10 times, but I don't know mentally how fragile they are, how malicious they are. It's the team that shows up. We have recovered Thuram in the middle, so it's going to be Thuram Locatelli in the middle of the park. No big misses, really. Only Kalulu in defense. The rest of the team is kind of in place. Gatti perhaps doesn't have enough minutes. But I feel like if the team shows up and they just play their football, they should be winning this game. Keep in mind, we've kind of hammered Cagliari 4 love and this
yeah,
Cagliari beat this Venezia 3 love. But relegation battlers are relegation battlers, man.
very
They,
tough.
they, they fight you like Scudetto battlers. So
And
um,
Venezia have a
very
chance to.
hard to call. My
Yeah.
logically, when I sit down and I analyze it, it looks like a 1-1. But my heart
Hmm.
will always say Juve, Param. So yeah.
Fair, fair enough. That was DJ Bhai's take, guys. DJ Bhai, nice to have you as always. We'll close this stream very shortly. Take care, DJ Bhai. We'll see you soon, and hopefully you enjoy the Serie A weekend as well. The Shivam, थोड़े comments लेता हूँ तेरे closing
Thanks,
thoughts लेके.
guys.
No,
Bye.
thank you, DJ. Thank you for
Bye,
tuning
DJ.
in. Uh, we'll close this stream shortly. शिवम तेरे thoughts लेके मैं just last थोड़े comments ले रहा हूँ last के लोगों के. 18 people still watching, guys. Thank you for hanging in. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate the support. I just saw that we have crossed one. We've surpassed 1.81k as well. So we appreciate the support. Shivam को please Twitter पे follow करो. I'll pull up his handle as well. He's more of a South American football watcher, and you don't get that always. And we'll be doing a video with him on like the South American Calcio connection because वो बहुत बड़ा connection है. Obviously, Shivam जानता है it's the biggest in Europe. That's probably the biggest connection where
Yeah.
South America has the biggest connection with Italy more than anyone. But let me quickly say Milan का discussion, Robbie, if you don't mind, we'll do on the weekend when mostly stream होना तो चाहिए. I'll definitely make sure Chintan bhai and Ajay bhai do it. Uh, I've listened way down Vivo at least 4 times in one MUFC. I'm sorry, man. I hope things get better for you. I mean, that's all I can say. Conte saying miracle is just pretend like underdog. Like Pep said, 1% chance after spending 200 million. With whom can you compare Cesc Fabregas' coaching philosophy and can you talk about the playing style? Puneet, मैं बहुत quick रखता हूँ ये. कंपेयर शिवम एकदम सिंपल कंपैरिजन करना रहेगा किसके साथ करेगा तू जस्ट ओवर द टॉप ऑफ योर हेड एकदम सिंपल यार
मेरे
This is
सिंपल मेरे माइंड में नहीं आ रहा है. आई कैन रिमाइंड एक साउथ अमेरिकन टीम है जो इसको मैं देखा, मैं उससे बता सकता हूँ. लास्ट ईयर के कोरिंथियंस का जो सेकंड फेज, अगर वो किसी को याद हो तो उसकी तरह एकदम खेलते हैं. बट यूरोप
but
में
for
आई
the audience, if you could make it easier Europe wise, because over the top of my head, because I mean, I would say,
यू नो, अगर आप लोग ने होर्गे हेसुस के अल हिलाल देखिए ना, नॉट
हाँ
दैट हाई इंटेंसिटी, थोड़ा सा
हाँ
इंटेंसिटी कम कर दीजिए, सो सम व्हाट सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ. अगर आप
yeah
देखते हो अल हिलाल को, होर्गे हेसुस
yeah
की.
yeah
यूरोप
Jorge
में
yeah would not be
रायो का जो मैनेजर है ना अभी करेंटली, दैट गाय आई एम फॉरगेटिंग नेम.
yeah
इनिगो पेरेस.
Inigo
इनिगो
Perez.
पेरेस की
I
रायो
actually would
से
not
काफी
even
सिमिलर.
mind likening Cesc to sort of Iraola, just like a very simple comparison, a
हाँ,
very simple comparison. I'm saying, not getting into the details. बट अगर मैं
या
टॉप मैन देख, तू टॉप मैनेजर पूछेगा तो ऑब्वियसली मेरा नाम पहले जाएगा, पेप ये वो. बट अगेन इट्स नॉट एंटायरली सिमिलर एंड आई डोंट वांट टू मेक इट अ लेजी कंपैरिजन बाय जस्ट सेइंग पेप ग्वार्डियोला. मैं एक चीज बोलता हूँ, सेस फैब्रिगास के तू लास्ट 4-5 इंटरव्यू देख, his prime reference point of studying right now is Simone Inzaghi. He's openly said it. If you've seen the coach, he's like, I study Simone Inzaghi the most. When after Inter को वो जो तो first leg mention किया, he cut his interview short just to go to talk to Simone Inzaghi about tactics and whatnot. So he basically idolizes Simone Inzaghi tactically a lot. Plays a different way to Simone, but he idolizes Simone Inzaghi a lot. Style of play again, kind of on the front foot, very simply. मैं ज़्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जा रहा. 4-2-2-2 खेलता है. इन बिटवीन द लाइंस, हाफ स्पेसेस में, इसलिए इसको टेक्निकली गिफ्टेड प्लेयर्स लगते हैं. हाई रिस्क अप्रोच है थोड़ा, जैसे शिव ने बोला, कंट्रोल्ड भी होता है. ही इज लर्निंग, यू हैव टू रिमेंबर, ही इज आल्सो लर्निंग ऑन द जॉब, सो ही इज डूइंग अ गुड जॉब एंड सर्टेनली टुमारो विल बी टफ. ही इज वेरी बिजी यार, ही इज बिजी विद सम फैमिली कमिटमेंट्स, सो ही इज नॉट अवेलेबल. डीजे भाई तो गाड़ी चला के घर भी पहुंच गए. ये टोनाली विल डिस्कस इन द समर यार, पूरा समर पड़ा है ट्रांसफर रूमर्स डिस्कस करने के लिए. no rumors yet about Tonali. Yes, if Conte leaves next season, who should Napoli hire as a replacement? Deख, who should hire वो discuss करेंगे Robbie, but seems like Allegri is the top name, so that would be quite hilarious if it happens. By the way, Allegri did play for हाँ बोल
प्रॉब्लम ये ना कि Napoli are now in this weird kind of dilemma. Like you have this one game and that's it. Now you don't have anything to look upon next season because everything will go back, reset to normal. Who will come as your new manager? What will be the aspirations? How will you guys do in Europe? Because open now it's a worst kept secret कि Conte will stay up. मतलब if he stays, then it's almost a miracle. Just the kind के उनके statements आ रहे हैं. And let's say, sorry if any Napoli fans are there, but let's say if you don't win Scudetto, then तो he's basically leaving everyone on a dead end. So not really can be very optimism about
I
Napoli.
understand what you're saying कि भाई मतलब इतना हार्ड वर्क किया है ना. और मैं वही बोलता हूँ, लोगों को लगता होगा मैं कॉन्टे को क्रिटिसाइज कर रहा हूँ, बट आई कम फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव वेयर दीस नापोली फैंस हैव बीन थ्रू अ लॉट. टाइटल जीते, 10th प्लेस पे गए, दे हैड टू फकिंग गो फ्रॉम स्पलेटी टू रूडी गार्सिया टू फकिंग वॉल्टर मज्जारी. डोंट इवन गेट मी स्टार्टेड, दैट्स लाइक हॉरिबल. यू कांट गो टू फकिंग
Walter
रूडी.
Mazzari.
एग्जैक्टली, वॉल्टर मज्जारी, लाइक जीसस. और ऊपर से फिर से ऐसा होने का पॉसिबिलिटी है कि ये बंदा जीतेगा टाइटल, फिर से कोच बदलेगा. ऑलबीट दे माइट गेट Allegri, who is obviously not as bad as Rudi Garcia or Walter Mazzari even in his worst season. But you get the point. जैसे तू ही बोला कि ऐसे सोचोगे तो एक ही गेम बचा है एंड देन इट्स डन. Napoli are not in the Club World Cup. They don't get to enjoy Conte for longer and he's potentially gone. And that's what sucks. That's where I come from. Basically, objectively speaking, my issue is how these Neapolitans have had to suffer basically so far. But again, जैसे योगेश ने बोला, नापोली का वैसे ही रहा है कि kind of suffering, you know, kind of ज़्यादा titles नहीं, ज़्यादा suffering, and when they win, it's a special moment. So बोल.
So Yogesh bhai came, he smiled at you and he left.
वो उसका
That
style है,
was
वो बोल रहा है, he's saying bad internet on the group, but obviously वो उसका स्टाइल है. वो हंस के चला गया कि भाई हम लोग जीत रहे स्कूडेटो. Inter are in a UCL final and fighting for the Scudetto, but with veterans leaving and a youth rebuild coming in, is this a new era? Deख, beginning or a risky reset. Rabin, right? Rabin, this is what I was discussing on Menace and the Monk, and ये question ना, ये थोड़ा हम लोग समर में डिस्कस करेंगे because I do feel it's a sort of a new era. I don't know if it's as big a risk because we will still have our main core players, your Barellas, your Bastonis, your Lautaros, your Dimarcos. But it is a new era because now they will be bigger leaders than ever. Mkhitaryan might stay, Darmian might stay, but unki responsibility rahegi. But now they won't be our prime leaders. They'll always be leaders, but they won't be the prime leaders carrying this team, if you get what I mean. So remains to be seen.
More of a backroom leader. Yeah.
हाँ मतलब अभी वो नया कोर ऊपर आएगा जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना कि न्यू ब्लड टेकिंग ओवर नॉट न्यू ब्लड बट यू गेट द पॉइंट राइट द नेक्स्ट कोर स्टेप्स अप and the younger players now look up to your Barellas Bastonis right so that transition remains to be seen and for that you need your current coach to stay in my opinion and I do think that will happen but again you never know in football right Allegri says Robbie I think was Napoli related or sorry अच्छा वो this was the title वाला जो तू बोल रहा था that was that's Spalletti Allegri with Milan and UA, if I'm not wrong. I adore your ball knowledge. Thank you, Puneet. Appreciate it. Please spread the word. Let's grow this community together. Sarthak, एक तो thank you for being a member. Uh, नहीं यार सिमिलर नहीं है डेलोरेंटिस थोड़ा ज्यादा पागल है I would say to be fair. Niels Lidholm, Milan, Roma, Inter, and Trapattoni. Yes, that's I think that's where you are right. वो तो भाई वो चलो उस पे जाते नहीं है अलेग्री नहीं जीता विद यू और व्हाट yeah I think we discussed that right he's not won 3 by the way एक मिनट निको पास टू स्कोर 90+6 own goal to win it for Inter भाई उसको खरीदने का अभी कोई चांस नहीं है आई थिंक वो रियल मैड्रिड जाएगा मोस्टली वापस या फिर कोमो ही रहेगा we have a UA fan in the house Luca nice to have you Tare prefers Sari and Allegri more plus he also mentioned Destiny Udogie yes Destiny Udogie would be quite the buy for AC Milan but अभी रॉबी टेबल्स टर्न हो गया यार कल स्पर्स यूरोपा लीग जीती है वो लोग के पास चैंपियंस लीग है भाई मतलब अभी पूरा ऑब्वियसली द वे यू कैन गो अबाउट टू सेल थियो हर्नांडेज गेट द मनी एंड देन पुश फॉर उडोजी कन्विंस हिम अगर तू इटालियन फुटबॉल पॉडकास्ट फॉलो करता है नीमा और कार्लो गार्गानेजे so they always get Udinese players on their show and when Destiny Udogie was at Udinese I think they had asked him his favorite club in Italy or at least a club I think he said he had a soft spot for was AC Milan he said so maybe that plays a role Serie A legend Fabio Paratici won a trophy I think Totti speaks the truth about the whole change I think Spinazzola will move up with Oliveira tactically McTominay scores 2 says Robbie all these talks in the end both Napoli and Inter lose their games वो बहुत फनी होगा यार बहुत फनी होगा no but seriously Napoli will likely play it safe keep it at their own pace Cagliari will drop back won't be more than 2 goals fair enough um let me just quickly run through the last comments uh so have you decided how you will celebrate ये तो पीछे ही पड़ी है मेरे मतलब ये हर स्ट्रीम में यही बोलता है ये तो भाई मतलब बोलता है इंटर का चौथा यूसीएल ट्रॉफी मतलब तीसरा चौथा नहीं सॉरी द 5th वन मतलब चौथा जीता नहीं पांचवे के बारे में बात कर रहा था ये मतलब ये भी चालू हो गया इधर ऑब्वियसली मिलानिस्टी पीछे पड़ गए preparing myself mentally to get used to this whining with Conte once again Ravinder be prepared I want him to recreate that 100 sorry क्या 10 क्या वो कोड था with a 10 euro note और क्या वो मैं बार बार उसका वो कोड भूल जाता हूँ you cannot go to a 100 euro restaurant with a 10 euro note or something I keep forgetting something along those lines he said right back in his day at Juventus मतलब लाइव देख पाऊंगा वो इशू नहीं है बट आई वोंट बी देयर एक तो जो म्यूनिक जाने के प्लान्स थे वो तो गए मेरे सेकंड जो हम स्क्रीनिंग प्लान कर रहे हैं व्हिच आई विल जस्ट से इन व्हिच आई जस्ट काइंड ऑफ अनाउंस इन अ बिट वो भी मैं नहीं रहूंगा तो I'll be watching the final, of course. Fingers crossed, by the way. I'll be watching it, but obviously, I won't be watching it with Interisti or with football fans, let's say, probably. I'll be watching it by myself. Um, Inter winning UCL is much needed than Scudetto. Um मुझे डबल चाहिए एज अ फैन बट लेट्स सी वेयर इट गोज चावा तुत्ती से आर्यन शिवम भाई आप बोलोनिया फैन हो शिवम लाइक क्विकली आंसर कर विदाउट एक्सप्लेनेशन ठीक है कुछ एक्सप्लेनेशन मत कर तेरा फेवरेट क्लब इन सेरिया और any Serie A club you have or Italian club you have a soft spot for without any explanation it has to be only one name
अरे
ये बोलना पड़ेगा भाई चॉइस नहीं है
I don't want to say the name of UCL finalists, but you can understand.
फेयर इनफ, तेरे को जो बोल रहे थे बोलोनिया बोल रहे तेरे को, जैसे 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 अभी जो बोल रहे हैं हेल्लास वेरोना बोल रहे हैं भाई वो भी बोल सकते है तू. बाय द वे अभी जो हेल्लास वेरोना पे वो बुक आई है इंग्लिश में, ऑब्वियसली द स्कुडेटो विनिंग टीम, and I'm considering buying it just for obviously because I like reading sports books. I don't like Hellas Verona, but I might buy that book just because it was an interesting story. Stop defaming Shivam, he says. योगेश आया और योगेश चला गया. असलानी प्लेइंग मींस dubious match. Como might score. Korea and Aslani, what a risk. Yeah, definitely. That's where DJ Bhai was criticizing, right? Como 2-1, sorry परम भाई, लेकिन UCL पर ध्यान देना. Fair enough. अरे यार आपका prediction है. The Como midfield is good enough to battle any team. Fair enough. Tottenham fan in the house. Kudos to you. You did a Bologna. First of all, kudos to you. आपके पास 2 इटालियन प्लेयर है, बहुत सारे फॉर्मर सेरिया प्लेयर्स है, तो मेरे को पर्सनली खुशी हुई विकारी और उडोजी के लिए सबसे ज्यादा, और एंज पोस्टेकोग्लू के लिए, बिकॉज आई एम अ बिग एंज fan, and Udoji is a player I liked, and Vicario was very good in the Serie A, so kudos to you guys. I've got too deep into judo stats. Guys, let's start with the predictions. Napoli, Cagliari, Como, Inter. Get your predictions in the comments. टीम के नाम्स देके, if you've not done it already, दे दो और बोलो कौन स्कुडेटो जीतेगा. सिंपल एज दैट. जस्ट नेम इट इन द कमेंट. शिवम, मैं तेरे पे आता हूँ एक मिनट. रॉबी says Napoli 1-0 Cagliari and Como 2-1 Inter, so he has Napoli winning the Scudetto. Siddhant says 2-1 Inter. He says Napoli 1-1 Cagliari draw, so Siddhant has Inter winning the Scudetto. Being an Interista. Abhijay says if it goes to the playoffs, I don't see Conte winning a player final type match. देखो जीत सकता है, but funnily enough, Shivam, it will be a midweek game. His biggest enemy, midweek games. याद है इस season basically, I don't know if many people will remember this. The first time he ever had, नहीं. The first time he ever had to play a midweek game this season was a league game against Atalanta, and it was at the Maradona, but they got spanked 3-0. It was early on in the season. So funnily enough, that's his biggest enemy. But all jokes aside, अगर playoff होता है, and it is still possible, so it will happen if Napoli lose and Inter draw. That's when a playoff can happen, and if it does happen, it will happen on the 26th of May. And basically that's why Inter actually wanted to play the game tonight, like tonight, आज रात जैसे हम स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज अगर प्ले ऑफ होता है तो प्ले ऑफ होता है 26 मई को, तो आपके पास एक दिन कम हो जाता है रेस्ट का बिफोर प्लेइंग द चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल, राइट? सो बट ऑब्वियसली फ्राइडे को ही है गेम, सो इंटर के लिए एक दिन रेस्ट कम हो जाएगा अगर प्ले ऑफ पे जाता है. सो थैंक यू फॉर टू अभिजय फॉर ब्रिंगिंग इट अप, बिकॉज इट इज स्टिल अ पॉसिबिलिटी. You will get 4+. They're buying Kalulu for 14 million. Shivam, unique as obviously I don't want to curse, but unique बंदा. शिवम भाई ओपी guys, where is Pirlo in Juventus shirt? अरे उनका चला गया, अभी उनका टाइम हो गया. He'll come back on the next team. We are winning it. Param bhai, Acherbi moment is a good name, and I hope we can win the double, bro. That's all I can say. Angel Gomez contract expiring could be a good signing for Inter. Would Inter sign Lucas Vazquez following their legacy of signing 32+ year plus good signing? देख भाई, मैं तेरे मार्केट रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस ना ओम अगले स्ट्रीम में आंसर करता हूँ, बिकॉज पूरा 2 महीने 1 महीना बचा है अपने पास वो सब एड्रेस करने के लिए. इन शॉर्ट, आई डोंट थिंक वील बी साइनिंग दोस काइंड ऑफ प्लेयर्स एज मच एज बिफोर, एंड आई डोंट थिंक वी आर इंटरेस्टेड इन Angel Gomez as well.
if he is talking about that English lad Angel Gomez जो लील में है ना, then तो it's okay, मतलब he's good. If he's talking about that Angel Gomez the वो जो वेलेंसिया बारसा है, then तो भाई फिर
नहीं वो Napoli is who आलू बिरयानी wants to win. मिलान बोल दे भाई. जिस हिसाब से मेडिकल सीजन चल रहा है और हर फाइनल का रिजल्ट आ रहा है, पीएसजी से डर लग रहा है. फेयर इनफ, पीएसजी is the better team going in my opinion, and you have to see how they've turned around. शिवम भाई is a Monza fan. पूरा डिप्रेशन होता है शिवम भाई का. Param bhai, this with the way things are going, this season looks like PSG are ending their UCL road, which as a Barca fan I don't want because of Dembele. Fair enough, but यार यही वही season रहा है ना, मतलब all underdogs are like kind of every team is ending their drought, some underdogs are winning. Again देख यार, ये stats ये जूजू ये सब हंसी मजाक, मतलब होने के लिए कुछ भी हो सकता है. As a fan I will believe in my team. At the end of the day जो होना है वो होगा. We might win one trophy, जैसे मैं बोलता, we might win the pending 2 trophies, we might go trophy less, anything can happen. But भाई मैं 22 साल फुटबॉल देख चुका हूँ, मैंने सब देख चुका है. 22 मतलब अच्छे मोमेंट्स देखे शिवम, मैंने ट्रेबल देखा है, मैंने बैंटर एरा देखा है. I've lost my I've watched my team lose to fucking Hapoel Beersheva in the Europa League in the banter era. I've seen
Gary
it all.
Gary
Believe
Medel
me.
starting in the
या
midfield.
गैरी मेडेल, फेलिपे मेलो, कुज़मानोविच, भाई मैंने ना बहुत सह लिया है। तो जैसा है ना, मैं जानता हूँ ये टीम अच्छी है, तो इवन इफ वी गो ट्रॉफीलेस ऑब्वियसली आई विल बी अपसेट, बट आई नो दिस टीम इज स्टिल गुड। सो ठीक है, ऑब्वियसली मेरा प्रेफरेंस है कि डबल जीते, बट जो होना है वो होगा। जैसे मैंने बोला, द लोएस्ट ऑफ लोज आई हैव सीन टू बी हर्ट एनी मोर बेसिकली। सह लिया है, समझ गए लाइक। तो ठीक है
अरे
जो होने।
दैट
हाँ,
सेविया फाइनल, गोल लाइन क्लियरेंस करके सेविया, भाई वो वाला जो यूरोपा
बोलना है
फाइनल था,
भाई,
क्या
लुकाकू
कर
लुकाकू ओन गोल मारा।
लुकाकू का
Lukaku own goal mara. He prevented a goal. Conte was mocked by Banega in the final. Banega called him a bald guy, said you wear a wig and all that. भाई सब देख चुका हूँ मैं। तो भाई अभी और कुछ दर्द नहीं होता है। विकारियो या विकारियो, वी लाइक विकारियो यार। नापोली 3-0, ये तो अलग लेवल की जिंक्सिंग है। Please, Lord, give us a fierce playoff between Inter and Napoli for the title. That's the best outcome, and as a neutral, I want that. We need that. Fair enough, but भाई इधर मतलब चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल भी खेलना है भाई, मतलब रेस्ट नाम की कोई चीज होती है। As football fans, fair enough. Roma should take Adolf Hutter is his name. He's a goated coach. I think he's the Monaco fan from the Indian community. So yeah, Como 1-0 Inter says Abhijay. Fair enough. That's a fair prediction. I can see that happening. To be honest, it is a possible prediction. I hope it doesn't happen. Napoli 1 पॉइंट से नहीं 4 पॉइंट से लीग जीतेगी. Fair enough. Napoli nil, Cagliari 1, Inter 1, Como 1. I want to see the playoff and that game Napoli will win. Fair enough. Sarthak says Napoli 3-0 win. Fair enough. Como Inter 2-2, Cagliari Napoli 2-1 and Inter winning at playoffs. But wait, if you say this, sorry, you've predicted a draw and a loss, correct? Is it, yeah, that's his name. That's his name. अभी वो आगे का आपके इमेजिनेशन पे है. Both teams will win their respective match, which means Napoli will win the Scudetto. I don't like Conte, Forza, Inter. Tottenham fans के memories अच्छे नहीं है. ये से Angel Gomez the English midfielder, Morata to sign free agent Modric. नहीं भाई नहीं चाहिए. I love Modric, बट एक टाइम पे हमको मॉडरेट चाहिए था, मुझे पता है, बट ऑब्वियसली दैट वाज नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल. करण, नाइस टू हैव यू. प्लीज डू लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब. परम भाई यूसीएल जीत जाओ, दैट्स व्हाई लेट्स गो नापोली. ये मस्त है भाई, मतलब आई लाइक आज आज सो अगेन ऑन द इटालियन फुटबॉल पॉडकास्ट. इट्स अ पॉडकास्ट रन बाय जर्नलिस्ट शिवम. आई डोंट नो इफ यू हैव सीन इट. They're very prominent journalists. They had Lorenzo Lucca on the show. As I told you, they have connections with
Oh,
Udinese, right? So they had Lorenzo
wow.
Lucca, the Udinese striker, and he predicted the same thing. Napoli to win the Scudetto and Inter to win the UCL. तो सब लोग बहुत सारे वो predictions देख रहा हूँ. And he rated Bastoni highly as well. I'll send you the podcast. It's a very good podcast. Basically, it's free plus paid,
Yeah,
but they
sure.
are professional journalists and they do a very good job at what they do. And we plan to have them on the show. Hakan dances very well. Uh, Lukaku cost us 2 European finals. Lukaku cost us a lot. Let's not get into it. मतलब और एक घंटा लग जाएगा उसमें. परम भाई बेंगलुरु में कोई स्क्रीनिंग हो रहा है बता दो. मतलब हम लोग है सब मुंबई से भाई. अगर आप मुंबई आ सकते हो, लेट मी एड्रेस दिस शिवम बिफोर आई गेट योर प्रेडिक्शन. वी आर डूइंग अ स्क्रीनिंग फॉर द चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल. 90% हो रहा है. वी आर पार्टनरिंग विद कसाकाई मुंबई हु इज ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड द वर्क. देयर विल बी पीपल. अगर आप मुंबई में बेस्ड हो और या फिर अगर आप मुंबई आ सकते हो चैंपियंस लीग फाइनल के दिन, ऑब्वियसली 1 जून को है तो 31 जून ऑब्वियसली रात को है, तो मतलब आप 31 को. एंड द लोकेशन एंड ऑल विल बी फाइनलाइज. वी विल बी पुटिंग ऑन आवर सोशल मीडिया. टाइमिंग कंफर्म करेंगे, बट द लोकेशन विल इधर बी स्टेबल्स और लॉर्ड ऑफ द ड्रिंक्स, वन ऑफ दीज टू प्लेसेस मोस्टली. Again, we'll put out a proper post on social media, on YouTube. We'll probably put a short also addressing it. But अगर आप मुंबई आ सकते हो, आप मुंबई से हो, तो please do join in. I won't be there because again I won't be in the city. I'll be out for work. But Ajay bhai, Chintan bhai, DJ bhai will also probably be there. So हमारी community रहेगी, plus there'll be fans. So अगर आप आ सकते हो, please do make it. Humble request to Inter-East in the community as well. Please do make it. We need Inter-East to be there. क्योंकि मुझे पता है मुंबई में है इंटर फैंस, मेरे कम्युनिटी से मैं जानता हूँ, बट जब शो अप करने की बात आती है, ऐसे मीटअप स्किल तब कोई आता नहीं है. सो आई नीड यू गाइज टू बी देयर यार, कम ऑन. एंड आई होप इन जनरल हमारी कम्युनिटी से लोग आ पाए. उसके लिए वील पुट आउट अ प्रॉपर पोस्ट एंड लेट यू नो. Tanbir says Inter to beat Como 2-1. So Inter and Napoli to draw 1-1. So Inter wins the Scudetto. Forza Inter. I hope you're right. Chair be my God, what a username. Paramba, is it true that Dumfries never scored a goal in the UCL before us? I need to give this a thought. ऐसे on the spot now. I think that is true. Shivam, तेरे को I think that is true.
याद नहीं आ रहा है. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
that
it's
is true.
that's
Yeah. No, no. For Inter, अगर तू बोलेगा तो yes, but I know he scored for PSV. I know that much. PSV के लिए वो मार चुका है, if I'm not wrong. But Inter के लिए, yeah, I think you might be right. एकदम on the spot मेरे को I'll rain check and get back on this. Who would be the best Serie A player? I think you mean right now. Shivam, just off the top of your head, just one word answer there. We'll close this stream very
this
quickly.
answer. This answer will sound very boring, but it is
बोलना
Alessandro Bastoni. Without
fair
without a doubt. Face
fair
of
enough.
Serie A for me, Lautaro Martinez, but best player currently for me, best centre back as well in the world, Alessandro Bastoni.
Fair enough. मैं बोलूंगा सीजन के हिसाब से I would either give it to Bastoni or McTominay, one of these two guys, if I had to pick Serie A player of the season. Uh, Again, depend जो स्कुडेटो जीतता है उस पर डिपेंड करेगा. शिवम विल बी बैक. आई टेक हिज प्रेडिक्शन. आई विल क्लोज दिस. क्रिश, हमने सेरिया का जर्सी का ना रिव्यू एकदम स्टार्ट ऑफ द सीजन में किया था. सब 20 क्लब्स के तीनों के 3 जर्सी रेट किए थे. आई थिंक उस टाइम पे जो भी अवेलेबल थे. तेरे को थोड़ा पीछे जाके लाइव स्ट्रीम्स के टैब में ढूंढना पड़ेगा. वी हैव ऑलरेडी डन इट, सो प्लीज डू गिव इट अ वॉच. A cancer fought center back in 93rd minute. Yeah. Respect to Acerbi bullied a 26-year-old South American defender. Arnautovic best Serie A player. एक काम कर लो भाई, उसका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्सपायर हो रहा है, आपके स्ट्राइकर के इश्यूज है बैकअप के लिए ना. सैंटियागो हिमेनेस का बैकअप बना लो ना उसको, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आई मीन देख, तू प्रीमियर लीग पर्सपेक्टिव से बोल रहा है मैकटोमिनी हैज बीन फैंटास्टिक. वो मेरा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है भाई कि तू मैकटोमिनी को इतना इंसल्ट करते हुए देख रहा है. ही हैज बीन फैंटास्टिक. आई मीन विदाउट यू कैंसल इवन वन ऑफ हिज गोल्स, नापोली स्लिप डाउन द टेबल. दैट्स हाउ क्लच ही हैज बीन. That's how it goes. Like his career has been revived by Conte. So भाई मतलब वो, अगर आप वो प्रीमियर लीग लेंस से देख रहे हो तो वो फिर मैं क्या ही बोलूं यार. कम ऑन, लाइक यू गाइस हैव टू मूव ऑन फ्रॉम दैट. या बुंजोर्नो मैं बहुत रेट करता हूँ बुंजोर्नो को. शिवम नोज दिस. आई लव द प्लेयर बट ही इज बीन इंजरी प्रोन थोड़ा सरप्राइजिंगली. सो आई डोंट नो इफ आई वुड से बेस्ट प्लेयर. ये मैं बाद में आंसर करता हूँ. आलू बिरयानी, लाइक मेरे दिमाग में अभी मैंने मार्केट के बारे में ज्यादा सोचा नहीं. आई विल बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विद यू. So I'll answer this. I'll take a screenshot. I'll answer this properly. All your questions in the summer about the market. Tammy as permanent. Nelson Victor. What?
Victor
Like क्या,
Nelson, that Roma guy.
खेला भी नहीं है रोमा.
Galatasaray.
Yeah, like वो खेला भी नहीं है रोमा के लिए like इतना. But हाँ, तेरा स्टार्ट कमेंट अभी जाए like very quickly and Shivam give your prediction and we'll close this. ठीक है. 4-5 champions of Serie A can be seen. ये क्या बोलता है? Do you agree with this assessment? Because like, do you think they have been the worst, or do you think like because kind of Napoli and AC Milan did not defend their crown well, like that is a fact. But would you agree with this statement? क्या बोलता है?
I won't say bottling. I don't believe in this term at all. Bottling term, I hate this term. Because if bottling is something like 15-16 पॉइंट्स का अगर लीड हो वहां से आप हार जाओ. 3-4 पॉइंट्स का मतलब जो दूसरी टीम है उन्होंने भी आपको प्रॉपर फाइट दिया है. फर्स्ट थिंग. सेकेंडली, इफ ऑब्जेक्टिवली अगर मैं क्यों लास्ट चार साल का लेट्स से सैंपल साइज लूं तो यस आई कैन से दैट. बिकॉज इस टीम में मतलब दे हैव द कैपेबिलिटी टू फिनिश इन द टॉप 6, बट आई डिड नॉट एक्सपेक्ट कि ये लोग टाइटल के लिए जाएंगे. सो क्रेडिट टू कॉन्टे वेयर इट्स ड्यू. जो प्लेयर्स में इंस्टिल किया साइकोलॉजिकली और मेंटली जो डेवलप किया है एंड जो प्लेयर्स को बेस्ट निकलवाया है. लाइक हु वुड हैव थॉट इससे पहले आने से पहले. वी ऑल न्यू कि मैकटोमिनी हैज सम क्वालिटीज बट
Yeah, he's performing very well. Yeah.
हाँ, एंड मिडफील्ड में डालना स्टार्टिंग द सीजन में जुआन जेसूस. फिर जुआन जेसूस को उन्होंने कुछ बोला था, फॉरगेटिंग क्या बोला था. फिर उसके बाद ओलिवेरा को इंटीग्रेट करना. बोनजोर्नो के इंजर्ड रहने के बाद रहमानी का इतना अच्छा सीजन चले जाना. रहमानी वाज आल्सो काइंड ऑफ रिग्रेसिंग थोड़ा सा. सो दीस आर रास्पाडोरी को ऊपर रिवाइवल करवाना. सो दीस आर द
सबसे बड़ी चीज है हुआन येसुस को ढंग से खिलवाना. I feel that in itself is an achievement. वो याद है ना फर्स्ट गेम where they got spanked by Hellas Verona and he called Juan Jesus a thing. वो कैप्चर हो गया था 4. He called him a thing. Yeah, उसको मतलब डिग्रेड किया एज अ ह्यूमन. ही डिग्रेडेड Juan Jesus. Then he had to use him. He made him. और तूने सही बोला शिवम. Rachmani is not the greatest player out there, but to make this guy play well, just like Spalletti did. Spalletti also made Rachmani overperform. He's getting a good performance out of a old, like past his prime Spinazzola. McTominay, जैसे तूने बोला, he has qualities, but he's playing way better than you expected. I would say Lukaku को kind of ऐसे phase में लाना where he's providing more clutch assists than goals. That is
And
important. Politano,
everyone,
bol.
everyone, everyone knew कि Quara, Quara, everyone is saying, but let's be honest, he wasn't even playing Quara इतना ज़्यादा. He was
वही तो मैं
trusting
बोल रहा हूँ.
Raspadori starting से ही.
या उसने तो उसकी आई थिंक एक गलती की, उसने रास्पाडोरी को ज्यादा बेंच किया बिकॉज रास्पाडोरी सेव देम इन दोस लास्ट गेम्स इफ यू रिमेंबर. फ्री किक गोल अगेंस्ट
Yeah,
लेचे,
yeah.
वो नहीं मतलब रास्पा केम क्लच एज अ प्लेयर उसने, बट ही वाज नॉट प्लेइंग रास्पा. और तूने जो क्वारा के बारे में बोला वही तो मैं बोलते जा रहा हूं. व्हाइल क्वारा वाज क्लच, he benched क्वारा towards before his sale a lot. योगेश वापस आ गया है. योगेश के क्लोजिंग थॉट ले. योगेश तू
Hey
are you
guys.
Ajay, you're not coming on cam. Yogesh, तेरे तेरे शिवम तो तेरे थॉट्स दे दे, then I'll just get Yogesh's thoughts. तेरे थॉट्स दे दे.
हाँ, इस पे तो मैंने बोल दिया. So you want my
हाँ नहीं तो
predictions?
you were just closing your thoughts on this whole discussion which Abhijay has come up with.
How
तू तो
so?
बोल.
मतलब if I take it objectively in the last 4 5 years, then yes, because I still don't know where will this Napoli team or will this Napoli project go. अगले साल से let's अगर Allegri आ गए तो क्या होगा टीम का. So that is something which concerns me. But that doesn't take away the fact that they have fought this season, and if they will be champions, then I don't say deserving, but they earned it. That's the only thing which I
Fair
say.
enough, fair enough. Yogesh, ये
Yeah, yeah.
तेरे तेरे just general thoughts बता यार going into this last two games कल के बारे में, because कल and it's over, like it's over, मतलब नापोली का सीजन खत्म हो जाता है उधर. शिवम मैं तेरे प्रेडिक्शन एंड में लेता हूँ, just hang in. But क्या बोलता है, तेरा क्या थॉट्स है, because वी ना
Cool. Yeah, it's a
कॉन्टे का
yeah.
कॉन्टे का प्रेशर हो गया. तेरे स्क्वाड न्यूज आ गई है, इंजरीज है, कैलरी के भी इंजरीज है. You have a home game in hand. Everything is set. Como Inter है, anything can happen and your season ends and you don't know what
Yeah,
is going to happen with Conte, right Yogesh? You don't know, because even in his presser today बहुत strange तरीके से बात किया, like he praised the Napoli fans, but it almost kind of felt like a goodbye the way he spoke. Like I don't want to speculate, but you get what I mean, right? तो क्या फीलिंग्स है तेरे
yeah.
नापोली फैन की भाई, कल का गेम एंड इट्स ओवर. हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट इज इट? बिकॉज नापोली यस विल बी इन अ पोजीशन टू प्रॉब्ली विन अ स्कुडेटो अगेन, बट हम लोग वही डिस्कस कर रहे थे, हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट इज टुमारो, बिकॉज यू डोंट नो वेयर नापोली इज हेडेड आफ्टर दैट फॉर द
Definitely, yeah, definitely, yeah. It's
क्या
a
बोलते
it's a date with history, yeah. That's what I have to say. In one
हाँ.
line, if I want to say, it's a date with history. And if
हम्म,
Napoli does what it does,
हाँ.
what it did throughout the season, that is fight hard for each and every victory. Like ये
हम्म,
season, बहुत सारे victories were like very hard fought, like 1-0 wins, comeback wins, बहुत सारे tough wins Napoli ने निकाला. So definitely one more game to go and one more match to go. So I'm pretty much very excited,
हाँ.
and I believe the entire Napoli team does not needs any extra motivation or like any motivational talk from Conte during halftime or during before the match. They are all pumped up already. So just
Yeah,
just anxious and very much excited to look forward that with our date with history what we can do.
definitely. I mean, even I think both of us going into that last day वही feeling है कि पता नहीं क्या होगा, and obviously it is what it is. Whoever wins the title wins the title. Let me just take a last few comments. Quara का सेल होना, it still didn't, हाँ मतलब it kind of has but it not hasn't affected that much because वो लोग थोड़ा आदत, जैसे शिवम ने अभी वो लोग ने आदत डाल ली थी उसके बिना खेलने की, बट उन्होंने अच्छा रिप्लेसमेंट साइन नहीं किया. युका लाइक योगेश विल अग्री, ओकाफोर हैज
Yeah,
हैड
yeah.
जीरो, लाइक कुछ खेला ही, मतलब कुछ इम्पैक्ट ही नहीं रहा है उसका, मतलब लेट्स बी ऑनेस्ट विद आवरसेल्व्स.
फिट ही नहीं है बंदा, मुझे तो लगता है
एग्जैक्टली,
फिटनेस पे से नहीं.
एग्जैक्टली, एग्जैक्टली. वो एसी मिलान में ओवरवेट था योगेश, दैट्स व्हाई क्रिटिसाइज द साइनिंग सो मच इफ यू रिमेंबर. वो आउट ऑफ
Yeah.
शेप था, उसका एटीट्यूड इशू था, वो इंजरी प्रोन था, एंड उसको लाना एज अ क्वारास रिप्लेसमेंट वाज क्रिमिनल. एंड दैट इन सच केसेस शिवम, Conte's criticism as much as I criticize him is justified, because imagine selling Quarats Khelia for 70 million and then signing Okafor on loan with option to buy. That's criminal obviously. यार हमने दे दिए थे राजीन थॉट्स की टाइट गेम होगा. वी अग्रीड. वी इंटर का तू अगर प्रेडिक्टेड लाइनअप देखेगा, आई डोंट नो योगेश यू सॉ इट, but it's basically a very rotated, heavily rotated 11 with mind or with keeping in mind with certain injuries and whatnot. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
Razin, you have Napoli winning the Scudetto. Alu Biryani wants Napoli to win the Scudetto as well. बारसा वाली इंस्टाफिट में रहते कि बहुत पॉपुलर हो रहा है, रहते कि मस्त प्लेयर है यार. He's very
He's
good
a
player.
cunt.
Barella is the best Serie A player since Acerbi moment. अभिजय देख once in a week ना, मैं तेरा असेसमेंट से थोड़ा अग्री करता हूँ कि एडवांटेज मिलता है, बट ये असेसमेंट की वंस इन अ वीक से फुल एडवांटेज मिलता है भी, ये सही बात नहीं. बिकॉज कैसा होता है ना, अब वंस इन अ वीक खेलो तो भी आपके चैलेंजेस होते हैं. अभी जैसे नापोली के बारे में शिव ने बोला, ऐसा नहीं कि आपने नए प्लेयर्स ले लिया सब जेल इन करेंगे. उधर आपको कॉन्टे को क्रेडिट देना पड़ता है, हाउ ही अपलिफ्टेड दीज गाइज. आई थिंक योगेश ने भी ये डिस्कस किया है. He Why did he say it on Menace and the Monkey? It's a big achievement, right, Yogesh? Because mentally uplifting these players, I think you will agree, is not an easy task.
Yeah,
Politano,
yeah, definitely.
Politano, I think Yogesh will agree, is not like the greatest players out there. But to देखो कैसे
Mm-hmm.
perform करता है, right? Like he's
Yeah,
performing like he has something to prove. So once in a week खेलना मतलब magically आप एकदम से favorites. Yes, it gives you an advantage. I don't disagree. बट ये मैं स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द सीजन से बोल रहा हूँ कि इतना रिडक्टिव नहीं होता है ये, कि हाँ चलो हम सुपर फिट हो गए.
definitely यार. और एक
हाँ
पॉइंट मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा, लाइक बिफोर लास्ट सीजन यूवेंटस वर प्लेइंग वंस इन अ वीक
या
एंड नोबडी थॉट, लाइक ऐसा किसी ने नहीं बोला था दैट दे विल बी स्कूडेटो फेवरेट्स.
या
नेक्स्ट सीजन एसी मिलान विल बी प्लेइंग वंस इन अ वीक, बट देयर आर नॉट अ लॉट ऑफ
या वी डोंट नो वेयर एसी मिलान विल गो, राइट? कि दे माइट
या
लूज
या
टिजानी रेंडर्स, दे माइट लूज देयर इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेयर्स. अभी जो होगा वो देखते हैं, बट इट्स नॉट एज सिंपल एज दैट. बट लेट मी गेट शिवम्स प्रेडिक्शंस. इट्स टाइम टू क्लोज विद प्रेडिक्शंस गाइस. किसी कमेंट्स में किसी के लिए बचे प्लीज दे दो. शिवम, individual game predictions and who wins the scudetto basis, that your feeling.
Uh, Lastly, I just want to say one thing. If Napoli wins, then I hope someone makes that edit of Ajay Bhai saying, "तू देखना गणेश चतुर्थी तक ये चला जाएगा." And should add
Oh,
यो, योगेश भाई का भी एंड में पिछले साल यूवेंटस भी एक गेम सीजन खेला था, नेक्स्ट सीजन एसी मिलान में खेला. दैट वुड बी सो. Anyways,
nice
so
callback.
anyways, so I think Napoli will win it.
Hmm.
Sorry to disappoint you,
Hey,
Parag,
that's
but
fair. That's a prediction.
I'll be backing Conte. But the जो वो गेम के पहले एंड द क्राउड ऑफ अरमांडो माराडोना जो पूरा
हाँ,
पब्लिक होगा, एंड दैट विल बी आई थिंक एनफ टू ड्राइव दीज प्लेयर्स थ्रू आउट द सीजन. जैसा योगेश मैंने भी बहुत अच्छा बोला कि ग्राइंड आउट करके काफी विन्स निकाली ना. सो आई थिंक 1-0 जाएगा गेम, एंड 70-80th मिनट पे दैट सेकंड गोल विल कम, एंड आई थिंक नेपोली विल विन इट. बट if by any chance, अब ये diplomatic हो जाएगा, but if by any chance this goes to playoff, then I'll back Inter solely for tomorrow. I think Napoli wins 2-0 their game, and Como Inter में I'll back Inter win 2-1.
fair enough. योगेश, तेरे पे आते हैं यार. क्या बोलता है, क्या होगा? Like, do you think Napoli can do it or no? Like, इंटर पे जा रहा है स्कूडेटो, क्या बोलता है?
I think scoreline would be something like 2-1 or 3-1 for Napoli, because
अच्छा.
I am getting a bad feeling that Cagliari will be scoring and थोड़ा party pooper कर सकते हैं Napoli.
हाँ,
भाई
सॉरी
कल
योगेश.
अगर येरेमी ने स्टार्ट किया है ना, एंड ही स्कोर्ड, एंड फिर जो कॉन्टेस्ट उसकी जो लड़ाई अगर
तो
होगी ना,
मैं वही बोल रहा था ना कल, योगेश. आई थिंक यू आर स्टिल देयर. आर यू देयर? या तो मैं वही बोल रहा था कि आई थिंक योगेश वी लॉस्ट हिम, आई थिंक. बट मैं वही बोल रहा था कि कल कैलियरी का तुझे मैंने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस भी दिखाए, राइट? दे सीम मोटिवेटेड, बट अगेन, एंड देयर इज दिस बिट ऑफ अ राइवलरी बिटवीन नापोली एंड कैलियरी, दैट सदर्न सॉर्ट ऑफ राइवलरी, यू नो.
या
थोड़ा है वो उनके बीच में. इट्स नॉट अ डायरेक्ट राइवलरी, बट इट्स देयर. येरीमीना, you know how what kind of a player he can be. But again, with all that being said, मेरे को लग रहा है ऑनेस्ट प्रिडिक्शन नापोली विंस एंड इंटर विन एज वेल, एंड वही सेम एक पॉइंट का गैप रहेगा, एंड दैट्स हाउ नापोली विन द स्कूडेटो. आई थिंक प्ले ऑफ नहीं हो रहा है. हुआ तो तब का तब एक और स्ट्रीम करनी पड़ेगी, और तब का तब देखेंगे प्रेडिक्शन. वो प्ले ऑफ हुआ तो वो अलग ही स्ट्रीम फिर से करनी पड़ेगी. बट नहीं, आई थिंक नापोली टेक्स इट. आई फील जैसे शिवम ने बोला, योगेश, कि बेसिकली होम सपोर्ट लाइक क्लीशे साउंड करता है, बट in it like I know what Italian fans are like. I know they can be that 12th man. और नापोली के जो 1-0 grinding wins है वो थोड़ा are carried by the players with that extra motivation. Kudos to Conte for instilling that, but towards this end मैं ज्यादा credit उनके players को देता हूँ. I still need to find out whether De Laurentiis has allowed those Cagliari fans to travel or not, because that would be, अगर नहीं allow किया तो that would be typical De Laurentiis कि भाई away end भी Napoli fans से भर दिया. But all the jokes aside, yeah, I think that extra motivation will carry you guys, Yogesh. Like, and again, we are rotating our team because of various reasons. हमारा Champions League final in mind भी है, तो while I do feel Inter will be motivated to do XYZ, will be motivated to win, I feel Inter will put in a good performance as well. मेरे को doubt नहीं है. I don't doubt my team, but I just feel we are in a situation where things are not in our hand, and that's where Napoli will make it count. I feel कुछ तो ड्रामा होगा. आई डोंट नो किस टाइप का ड्रामा होगा. अगर अगर मेरा ये सिंपल लॉजिक है, अगर लास्ट गेम वीक में जो ड्रामा हुआ ना योगेश और शिवम, लाइक कैसे इंटर जीत रही थी गेम, फिर ड्रॉ हुआ, और फिर नापोली को पेनल्टी मिला, और फिर वो पेनल्टी कैंसिल हो गया, एंड दोज वर करेक्ट कॉल्स. सो कुछ तो ड्रामा होने वाला है. आई डोंट नो व्हाट इट इज. एंड दिस बोथ, एंड अगेन फनीली इनफ योगेश, both coaches are suspended. Conte is suspended and so is Simone Inzaghi. So
Yeah,
I mean, ये एक
yeah.
फनी चीज है. तो वो मतलब साला ऐसा भी नहीं कि साइडलाइन पे ये दोनों ड्रामा कर सकते, तो शायद दोनों असिस्टेंट कोचेस को भी रेड कार्ड मिल जाए, फारेस और स्टेलिनी को. सो देखते क्या होता है. So but yeah, I think Napoli clinches the Scudetto, and then our last hope remains the Champions League final. But yeah, we'll see यार, कल वॉच अलोंग होगा कि नहीं. I honestly can't tell you because हमारे सबका Yogesh is traveling. He's again not in very in his base. I am also busy with work, so I don't know if a watch along can happen. But definitely, जो भी होगा post Scudetto winner reaction एक video या short तो drop होगा. I'll guarantee you guys that some one of us will drop it. Please do follow Shivam on Twitter. Shivam, मैं तेरा Twitter handle pull up करता हूँ very quickly, and we can close this. Yeah, Shivam is here. I'll just quickly show his Twitter handle. Uh, या शिवम का ये ट्विटर, शिवम आई होप दिस इज विजिबल, शिवम का ये ट्विटर हैंडल है. वो साउथ अमेरिकन फुटबॉल एंथुजियास्ट है. अगेन ही इज वेरी नॉलेजेबल अबाउट फुटबॉल. ही वॉचेस मल्टीपल लीग, ला लीगा, साउथ अमेरिकन फुटबॉल. तो प्लीज डू गिव हिम अ फॉलो हियर. अगेन he is our now kind of Bologna fan on the panel, all jokes aside. And यार ये मतलब अभी ये सब तो देखते हैं क्या होता है. या बट thank you guys for tuning in, and always please do like, share and subscribe. Again, we have just crossed 1.81k, and we appreciate all the support. Let's get to 2k guys. There's a lot more coming. जैसे मैंने बोला, क्वालियरेला वीडियो will drop very soon. वो पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन में है. Lot of things coming your way, live streams, more story videos, exciting things like certain changes in what we do, for the better obviously. Some we're trying to do some merch drop as well, so keep an eye on the channel. Again, spread the word. जिसको इटालियन फुटबॉल के बारे में नहीं पता उन्हें बताओ. जिसको इंटरेस्ट है उनको बताओ कि हम एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. कोलैबोरेशंस आर आल्सो इन ऑर्डर. सब चल रहा है. सो योगेश, एनीथिंग यू वांट टू से टू क्लोज? शिवम, you anything you want to say to close?
Just one line, yeah. Forza Napoli sempre.
I'll also say the same. Forza Inter. Sempre is solo Forza Inter. Shivam, anything you want to say?
All the best to both of you.
बहुत modest comment, but thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you the next time. Mostly weekend पे एक अलग stream होगा Champions League race के लिए. And yeah, see you guys soon, and hopefully you guys enjoy the Serie A. Watch it on GXR. GXR पे Serie A दिखता है. Let me remind you भाई, इतना अच्छा मैच है, और वही बचेगा कि मैं भूल गया इधर किधर देखना है. किसी को अगर नहीं पता है, GXR पे होता है. We'll post the links again before the game tomorrow, just so that everybody can be aware. And yeah, see you guys very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Siddhant is jinxing on his way out, being an Interista. Nice, love to see it. But yeah, see you guys very, very soon. Ciao, ciao, guys. Thank you for Shivam for joining in. Thank you, Yogesh.